Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, from Berlin, Germany, and welcome to the Hydrogen Investors Tour to all of you out there, wherever you are watching us right now, from Tiflis to Tel Aviv, from Tokyo to Kuala Lumpur, from the Arabian Peninsula to India, from Riyadh to Singapore. We're super excited to have you all with us, and during the upcoming show, my name is Jürgen Pfeiffer, and I'll be your host during this first edition of the Hydrogen Investors Tour. During the upcoming show, we want to invite you to have a closer look with us at the heart of Europe's future energy regions, their investment potentials, and the specific role hydrogen as energy carrier will play there. We'll be having also experts with us that will deep dive with you into the national and regional framework conditions that are already existing for investors. We'll be also giving you an overview of possible market access chances, and we'll show you the political relevance those regions and their projects will have for national and European hydrogen strategies until 2030. To sum it up in one sentence, shaping Germany's future energy regions. This is our main focus during the upcoming program, and as you might expect from Germans, I'm not alone with that challenge. We have the best of the best in the world of hydrogen in Germany with you, who have prepared really exciting insights and live from 3 former coal regions. And yes, you're absolutely right, if you expect facts and figures and a lot of that stuff from German side. But before we do the math, let me introduce you to a chairman and CEO of the federal company who is taking care of foreign investors and is assigned to the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Protection. Please welcome Dr. Jürgen Friedrich, CEO of Germany Trade and Invest.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, State Secretary Schneider, Commissioner Dr. Kaufmann, Jürgen Pfeiffer, our colleagues at Hydrogen Moves, speakers, guests, and everyone participating in this event, on behalf of Germany Trade and Invest, the federal German government's international business promotion agency, I'm really delighted to welcome you to the 2022 Hydrogen Investors Tour. Good morning from Berlin. Over the next few hours, and I hope beyond that, we will be learning a lot about the key role hydrogen will play in our common clean energy future, and we will learn about Germany's plan to transform these regions, traditionally coal-producing regions of the country, into sustainable, renewable energy hubs. I really don't want to preempt anything this marvelous assemblage of experts is going to say on those topics, but I would like to briefly address the reasoning behind this virtual investors tour and why our agency, Germany Trade and Invest, feels it's so important. I'm sure you all know that under the previous government, Germany agreed upon a multi-billion euro national hydrogen strategy. This initiative has only been strengthened under the present administration. But it is worth underscoring that within this national strategy, there is a built-in and quite significant international component. Germany knows, for example, that it won't be able to produce green hydrogen needed in the future domestically. So the strategy calls for at least 2 billion euros to develop, to partner with other countries. And the opportunities for cooperation by no means stop there. It is quite clear to everyone that neither the state nor the private sector will bring about the transition to clean energy. Governments, industry, and companies, small and large, of all sizes, will be needed to meet this epochal challenge. For this reason, Germany is very keen to invite innovation, to bring innovators to Germany who want to take part in this process and do business here, especially in those regions earmarked for future energy hubs. And this is where our organization, Germany Trade and Invest, comes in. We are the first point of contact for companies, for businesses looking to expand to Germany. We help with services like site selection or defining the right business model, investigating state funding opportunities, and acquiring the network needed. We work on projects small and large, most recently Intel's multi-billion euro expansion to Magdeburg. This is the aim too of the Hydrogen Investors Tour, to give you, our potential partners, the information you need first to reach sound business investment decisions, as well as make the connections you need to participate in and profit from Germany's energy transformation. To that end, this event, the tour, is designed to be highly interactive. We hope that you will take the opportunity in the next hours and beyond that, using our B2B and matchmaking tool, to engage in discussions with one another and with this who's who of German H2. In that spirit, I wish you every success on the tour. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jürgen Friedrich, and I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the national who's who of hydrogen world in Germany that we have lined up for you today. Our next prominent speaker who is joining us is living proof for that statement of Jürgen Friedrich. He's facing a very tight time schedule since he became Innovation Commissioner for the green hydrogen 2 years ago. Thanks to his long-lasting professional interest in green topics as member of the parliament, he's working on international energy partnerships around the clock and 24/7. I'm very happy that he's with us today, if only by video, for our upcoming expert panel, but firstly, for some words of welcome. Please welcome Dr. Stefan Kaufmann.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pfeiffer. Thank you, Mr. Friedrich. Ladies and gentlemen, for decades, coal mining was an important industry that contributed a great deal to the production of energy in many countries, including Germany. Our plan in Germany is to phase out of coal by 2038 at the latest. And this is needed for fully carbon neutral energy production and for our net zero goal in 2045. But it is not the only thing. Phasing out coal will give companies in Germany and around the world a historic opportunity to use environmentally friendly innovation to help shape structural change in these regions. The federal government is investing up to 40 billion euros to facilitate this unparalleled structural change in 2038, by 2038. Our national hydrogen strategy and our Reallabore der Energiewende, living labs for energy transition, support the successful phase out of coal and drive the development and implementation of new technologies. And what can we offer? We can offer extensive public funding programs, not only our 9 billion funding for the hydrogen strategy, but also the huge funding for the coal exit and also a lot of funding from the several states. And we give necessary legislation, such as the Structural Improvement Act. The 4 coal-field regions in Germany, the focus today, boast above average potential and will help companies with a multitude of prospects. They are centrally located in the heart of Europe. They can provide a lot of land and space for innovation and growth, and they are strong. There are strong research facilities around, and research is already needed for the transformation process we have to foresee. And one of the relevant questions is, how can we use the CO2 emissions for industrial processes? In 2019, for example, the steel industry alone in Germany, which is so important for our economy, caused greenhouse gas emissions around of 32 million tons of CO2 equivalents. And deforestation of the industrial sector has been difficult until now. Green hydrogen is opening up new possibilities for us, not only in Germany, but all over the world. And as the Federal Ministry of Research and Education, we support the research and development that is still needed. For example, in our Carbon to Chem project, which we have been funding with more than 150 million euros since 2016. Carbon to Chem research, the use of waste gases for the production of chemical products, starting with gases from the steel mill. The project researches how to use emissions as resources. Currently, Carbon to Chem is transferring these findings to waste incineration plants and lime kilns. However, the Carbon to Chem concept only works with large amounts of hydrogen, because we need hydrogen to convert CO2 into usable products like methanol. It almost goes without saying that this hydrogen must be green in order to have a positive climate balance. Of course, we are also looking at the transformation of the steel industry to direct reduction with hydrogen. We would like to completely replace coal with hydrogen by 2045 at the latest. And for this alone, Germany will need 1.8 million tons of green hydrogen, what means 60 terawatt hours. Yes, and two wonderful concrete examples of our successfully research cooperations and fundings are, at first, our project in Jülich in North Rhine-Westphalia, which is funded by over 860 million euros for the next 70 years in a Helmholtz cluster for sustainable and infrastructure-compatible hydrogen economy. And there's also a wonderful example in Lusatia, our PTX lab there in the heart of one of the country's major mining regions as an international hub for green hydrogen and its derivatives. As a mixture of a think tank, research and industry network, and real-life laboratory, the lab and its output are supposed to be the part of the opportunities of the energy transition for the coal region in Lusatia. And this is the message from my side for today. Our challenge will become an opportunity for new jobs and businesses in all this region in Germany. And therefore, we need all of your help. We need a lot of investments in Germany. And that's why we're here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stefan Kaufmann. Please stay with us. We come back to you and some more prominent guests in a minute, right after some very concise perspectives in terms of clean energy and hydrogen of a man who has been voted European Banker of the Year in 2020. He surely didn't receive that honor only because of his diplomatic style of leadership as president of the European Investment Bank. Since he was nominated 10 years ago, he slowly but constantly reshaped the face of the European Investment Bank and turned it into the European Commission's Green Bank, co-financing green technologies all over the continent. I'm very happy that he took the time to deliver some important remarks on the current energy situation we're currently facing, but also on the role of the EIB as a partner for big future energy projects on the continent. Please welcome Dr. Werner Hoyer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased that you are among those who are working on a fossil-free future and have come together today to attend the Hydrogen Investors Tour. Investing in times of this acute energy crisis must first and foremost mean investing in the construction of a green and sustainable energy infrastructure, in solar and wind energy, in power grids and battery storage, and also in gas pipelines and LNG terminals, if and only if these can later also be used for green hydrogen. This brings me to the heart of today's topic. If we want to drastically reduce the use of fossil fuels, and at the EIB, the EU Climate Bank, this is certainly our ambition, then we will need large volumes of green hydrogen. It will not be possible, after all, to run a steel plant on battery power only. Nor will this be possible for other energy-intensive industrial processes. Our experts expect that the major areas for the use of green hydrogen will be steel and chemical industries, as well as shipping. What is important today is that, for example, a country like Germany develops LNG terminals. These facilities are ready to be converted for hydrogen from the outset. The same applies to pipelines and storage facilities. We need to avoid lock-in effects in old technologies and prepare the transport of hydrogen across the EU. The hydrogen economy is only at the very beginning, and the cost of green hydrogen is still relatively expensive. This makes it so important that we accelerate investments into new technologies that can help bring down costs. Ladies and gentlemen, in view of the magnitude of the task we face, it would be downright faint-hearted to focus on national projects and then roll them out at a European level or globally. We must coordinate the development of a hydrogen infrastructure at all levels and in all regions from the start. Create the right standards and networks. This will be to the benefit of everyone. What encourages me is that the interest in hydrogen is growing strongly. At the EIB, we have 1 billion euros worth of projects in the pipeline right now, and this is twice as much as we have financed over the last 10 years. But let's not fool ourselves. Building a hydrogen infrastructure takes time and a lot of money. At the moment, investments in clean hydrogen still carry a high financial risk. And this is why it is important to spread across many shoulders the risks. You might now ask the question how to do this. It's not an impossible task. The necessary fund can be mobilized by skillfully combining government grants, funds from development banks such as EIB or KfW, and loans from commercial banks. If I may do a little advertising, at the EIB we have a lot of experience with various forms of what we call financial instruments. And we have experts that can offer their advice. One of our great assets is that we employ not only bankers and financial analysts, but also engineers and sector experts that can assess complex projects and structure them in a way that makes sense. The first steps are already being prepared. The EIB and the European Commission are currently working on developing EU mandates for risk distribution, which primarily involve guarantees from the EU budget to enable riskier investments. Already today, EIB offers financial support in various ways to get clean hydrogen projects off the ground. These are pure grant financing, where the EIB supports the European Commission, for example, under the Innovation Fund or the Modernization Fund. Financing solutions combining public funds and financial instruments supported by the European Commission and the EIB. And loan products for projects that are commercially viable without public grants. Ladies and gentlemen, the road to the green hydrogen world is still long. But as you can see, the first steps are being taken. I hope I have been able to convince you that this endeavor is worthwhile and that you should be part of it. At EIB, we are open for business and look forward to working with many of you. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish you successful discussions.
Thank you. Thanks to Luxembourg and the President of the European Investment Bank, ladies and gentlemen. And if you wish to be in touch with him, with the EIB, or with other interesting partners you'll get to know during the upcoming Hydrogen Investors Tour, please stick with us. You'll be able to ask all of your questions during our breakout sessions at the end of the show with our experts online. They will take care of you and every wish, nearly every wish, at least in terms of information or direct contact you might have. And if you wish to learn more about our speakers today, please don't hesitate to visit our Hydrogen Investors Tour website under www.gtai.live. But now, I think it's time for a sneak peek into Germany's future energy regions. As already mentioned, we have prepared a really impressive lineup of projects related to hydrogen in 3 major coal regions in the eastern and western part of Germany. So let's go first to the Lusatian coal region and call my colleague Caro Kahn, who is waiting for us in Cottbus. Caro, where are you exactly and what do you have prepared for us?
Yes, hello Jürgen Pfeiffer, and dear ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome from the Startup Center Start Block B2 here in Cottbus in our wonderful Lusatia coal region. My name is Caro Kahn and I'm your today's host. Located in the east of Germany in the regional states of Saxony and Brandenburg, near the border between Germany, Poland and the Czech Republic, Lusatia has adopted the development strategy Lusatia 2050, a detailed and target plan for action for the German coal phase-out 2038. This plan included a set of measures concentrated on preserving Lusatia as a major industrial region and furthering the development of new and sustainable value chains. I will lead you through our presentation, which will introduce you to what is happening in our region right now, especially when it comes to potentials and development in research and economy. Therefore, we were listening to very interesting speakers from Lusatia, of course. I hope you are as excited as I am, and we will see you again in a few minutes. And now, over to the central German coal region. Silke Frank, are you there?
Thanks to Caro Kahn. My name is Silke Frank, and I'm so happy to give you a warm welcome from the central German coal region here at the visitor center from Infraleuna, right from the heart of Germany. Let's have a short 2-minute introduction about the most interesting facts and figures from central Germany. The use of lignite as a raw material for productive processes and as a supplier of energy has shaped the central German coal region. This has been the basis for a number of industrial developments and symbiotic relationships. such as the chemical and energy-intensive industries and the food industry. Strengthening the logistics and automotive sectors drives new transport and mobility concepts. Due to its central location, the central German coal region offers ideal conditions for further expansions as a European logistics hub. Central Germany is characterized by its proximity to the science and business locations in Leipzig, Halle-Saale, Jena, Erfurt, Chemnitz, Dresden, and many more. With a brand new airport gateway, the area, the airport region in central Germany, and the Thuringian large-scale industrial sites, for example, Goldeaue in Nordhausen and Erfurter Kreuz in Armstadt, the region's infrastructure is ready. Renowned global players and also companies with strong focus on hydrogen in the area include BMW, CATL, Dell, DHL, IHI, Jenoptik, Linde, Maximator Hydrogen, MDC, Porsche, Schott, VNG, X-Fab, and Zeiss. Dear audience, this was a first overview and insights into the German Central Coal Region. And now, let's go to the Rhenish Coal Region. Over to Dr. Thomas Kattenstein.
Yes, thank you very much, Silke, for the kind introduction. Good morning and good afternoon. A warm welcome from the Rhenish region, coal region here. We are in the Energetikon, which is a very beautiful coal mine here in Alsdorf, in a city very close to Aachen. The Rhenish coal region, in German we say Rheinisches Revier, according to the river Rhine, is located here in North Rhine-Westphalia, or short NRW, which is the biggest state of Germany with regard to population and GDP, and which is, of course, one of the best investment locations in Europe. We are located in the very western part of Germany, as was already mentioned. We are very close to the Netherlands and to Belgium. 2.4 million people are living here on an area of around 5,000 square kilometers in the triangle of the three cities of Aachen in the west, Düsseldorf, and Cologne in the east. The region is well situated with excellent infrastructure options with regard to energy, transport, and mobility. I would like to mention that we have two international airports here with regard to Düsseldorf and with regard to Cologne. Also, we have renowned global players already working in the field of hydrogen for a long time. These companies include, for example, Air Liquide, Bayer, Covestro, RWE, Shell, and many more. Also, we have companies with a strong focus on manufacturing of technology, like Neumann & Esser, NEA, and like Elogen. Both companies will be presented later here on our panel. Also, we have world-class research and development in our area with regard to hydrogen. We have the Research Center Jülich, we have the Technical University Aachen, we have the DLR German Aerospace Center, and also we have the Helmholtz Center on Hydrogen, which was already mentioned by Mr. Kaufmann. In addition, I would like to mention that we already have regional clusters like High Cologne, which connect companies and research in order to come forward with our hydrogen technology. And last but not least, we have already ongoing projects with regard to fuel cell buses. We have the biggest fleet of fuel cell buses in Europe here in our area. We have already hydrogen refueling stations, and we have power-to-gas facilities already producing today hydrogen. So we are looking forward to our panel discussion later on. You see some panelists are already here. I hope you stay. And with that, I would like to give back to Berlin to Jürgen Pfeiffer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Really amazing what you have lined up for us. We'll be back with you later in about an hour. Thanks for the moment. When you think of investing money, the most important question is always, what's in it for me? I'm very happy that we can give you some substantial answers to that question. And as you might expect it perhaps from a German panel, we do that with a 360-degree view and different perspectives, and on top with highly competent guests that have an extremely deep know-how and understanding of the role hydrogen will play in the future for Germany and Europe's energy. For our first guest, the climate-neutral transformation of the economy is a high priority. She is Dean of the Faculty of Business, Economics and Law at the University of Erlangen-Nuremberg, member of the Board of Academic Advisors of the German Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy, and Director of the Bavarian Hydrogen Initiative, H2B. Please give a warm welcome to Professor Veronika Grimm. Sitting next to me here, to my left, sitting from you, it's the right, in Berlin, is a man who has worked in a wide variety of positions within the German energy industry. Among others, as spokesperson for the Wind Hydrogen Initiative, as managing partner of Power-to-X Solutions, and as member of the board of Enertrag System Technik. Since 2014, he chairs the National Hydrogen Association, DWV. Please give a warm welcome to Werner Diewald. Sitting next to Werner is a man whose knowledge might be of special interest to all of you out there who are thinking of investing in hydrogen distribution. He studied information technology and joined Verbundnetz Gas AG in 1994. Since then, he took care of gas transportation topics in various senior management positions. In 2008, he became one of 2 managing directors of Ontras, responsible for development and division controlling. He is currently member of the board of Gas Infrastructure Europe and member of the National Hydrogen Council. Please welcome Ralf Barke. Still with us via video from the beginning is Dr. Stefan Kaufmann, who serves as Innovation Commissioner for Green Hydrogen. Thanks for staying with us, Stefan. And here in Berlin, sitting right next to me, from your side left, is a man who's widely considered to be one of the architects of the hydrogen economy. He was the founder of the Hydrogen Council, which brings together the worlds of top energy, transportation, and multinationals in the sector. After leading hydrogen activities for Air Liquide, he founded an investment platform in hydrogen last year that many of you might already have heard of, 5T. Currently, he also serves as chief executive of Hy24, the first clean hydrogen infrastructure fund. Please welcome from Paris, France, Pierre-Étienne Franck. Bienvenue sur le plateau. And sitting next to Pierre-Étienne is an engineer by background with more than 10 years of professional experience in hydrogen and the sector of renewable energy. He was co-author of E4Techs, the annual fuel cell industry review between 2014 and 2019. Since 1 year, he is responsible for international cooperation at the National Organization for Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Technology. I'm very happy to have him with us today. Please welcome Franz Lehner. Last but not least, at all with us via video is an expert in investment and financial markets with more than 20 years of experience in emerging markets. He worked formerly as director for the German Development Corporation, GIZ, in Brazil, as division manager at the African Development Bank, and formerly also as director of business development at Allianz Global Investors. Today, he's working as executive director of Hintco and managing partner of H2 Global Advisory, bringing together partners in the market for hydrogen in Germany. Please give a warm welcome to Timo Bolahai. Ladies, gentlemen, let's have a look first at 3 short but important figures, I think, that will shape the level playing field here in Germany for the future. We have, by decision of our national parliament, this is our first graphic that we want to show you, an investment according to the National Hydrogen Strategy. We have an amount of 7 billion euros for national projects. In addition to that, another 2 billion euros are invested in international projects. And the reason for that engagement you can profit from as an investor is very simple. The enormous growth in the need of German hydrogen, in green hydrogen. The government estimates a doubling of the demand for green hydrogen from 55 to 110 terawatt hours until 2030. Veronika Grimm, when you look at those figures, what is the economic impact you expect for Germany when you look at those figures? And is the demand of 110 terawatt hours in 2030 still realistic?
Yeah, thank you. I think the demand will be huge and it will have to develop quite soon because hydrogen will also play a huge role for German energy security in the future after the attack of Russia against Ukraine. This is a hotly discussed topic in Germany. Gas prices, gas was considered the bridge technology for the German energy system on the way to climate neutrality. But gas will be more expensive. And this implies at the same time that hydrogen and hydrogen-based energy carrier, green hydrogen-based energy carriers will be more attractive earlier. So we have to ramp up in this decade. And this implies that we have to organize hydrogen hydrogen imports quickly, that we have to organize hydrogen production quite quickly, and that German industry, which is really able to provide many key components for the new supply chains. I think there's a big role for German industry in order to build up these new supply chains. So I think there will be a huge momentum for hydrogen in this decade, and you illustrated it, that there's a lot of commitment in Germany to go that way.
Werner Diewald, hands down, how much of these 110 terawatt hours do you think is Germany able to produce itself?
So I think we can produce most of this stuff here. But of course, on the other side, you mentioned it, and Mr. Skrim, I think it's not enough. So we have to import also a lot of green hydrogen. But I think we should have the target that we produce the first the additional 55 terawatt hours in Germany. So we have the best foundation to develop a sustainable industry, the hydrogen industry. But I think that is also, we have to look on it also. It's not only the hydrogen production, it's not the energy case only, it's also interesting for Germany and for the industry to develop a hydrogen industry. And for that we need a home and market.
Stefan Kaufmann, you're currently traveling, as I mentioned already, the world between Australia and Africa, probably for one major reason, which Werner just mentioned, preparing international energy partnerships in order to match the huge import quota for hydrogen, right? How does an ideal partnership, in your eyes, looks like, and what can we offer in return for our partners?
As we do offer our technology sovereignty, we do offer our companies like plant building, like ammonia plant building, for example, also our electrolyzer companies. And in return, we hope to get a lot of hydrogen imports from these countries. We have some privileged partnerships with Namibia, for example, and also with Australia. We traveled there with the minister a few weeks ago. But for sure, we're also looking not only to overseas, we are also looking to Europe. We have some very interesting countries, for example, in Scotland, in Ireland, in Norway, for import of green hydrogen. And for sure, we look for countries with the same value base, for example, and with a strong energy infrastructure, with a lot of experience also in energy export and production. And that's why we also have a look for sure to the MENA states, to the Gulf region, because they are able to produce green hydrogen maybe faster than a lot of other countries, which we have in focus all over the world, talking about South America or Latin America, or also countries in Africa, where we have a huge potential for sure of renewables and also green hydrogen production, but it will take time in these countries.
Just an additional short question, Stefan. IRENA just published some figures some days ago that they will assume that by 2050, 55% of the green hydrogen produced globally will be used and produced regionally. Does that mean we as Germans, we in Europe, should focus on the European boundaries? So offshore, we have, I think, the biggest offshore coastline in the world on the European continent. And is that an aspect also when it comes to energy partnerships? Looking close to our European borders?
For sure. Yeah, we have to look also in our partnerships whose countries will need hydrogen for their own decarbonization strategies, for example, in South Africa. So there are countries like Ireland, they have a lot of offshore wind potential, 70 gigawatt, they need 10 gigawatt for their own decarbonization strategy. So there we have a huge potential for export of green hydrogen. And for sure, we should look closer to Germany in Europe, what we can produce here. We can ship the hydrogen from Australia and from South America. We know that it's not a cold stopper, the transportation costs, but for sure it is easier to bring it from European countries that we have only look on Spain and Portugal, for example. Also Greece and Italy can play a role. And I talked about the countries in the Northern Europe, also Sweden and Finland can play a role, for example. So for sure, the focus at first is local production in Germany. We think maybe 20% of our demand, and then we look on European countries, and then we look also for international partnerships.
Franz-Lena, what does all that mean for the right timing of investment decisions and, for example, the regulatory framework and the priorities that politicians and governments do have to have in mind?
Yeah, it's obviously very urgent right now in this geopolitical situation. I think you have a high investment security and certainty in Germany because we want to be climate neutral by 2045, and that means for Germany 100% renewables. So it's a very clear case for hydrogen. But the situation that we are in since the 24th of February means that all these decisions have to be made much faster than initially anticipated. And as Veronika Grimm said, we don't have this bridge technology of natural gas anymore. And so the regulatory framework needs to be established in the next few months rather than years.
So that means that all the parliamentarians should be coming back from their vacation?
I think the new reality has made it much easier to make this change happen in the time that we need.
Thank you. Ralf Barke, looking at your experiences in gas grids, which consequences would you expect for the ramp-up of the necessary infrastructure in Germany and Europe, according to all that what we have heard?
Yes. I guess that the infrastructure for the hydrogen will be an integrated part for the value chain. That's quite clear. And we have to create the first step in this. And at the moment, we see a lot of demand for the producer and for the demand side for the capacity. And that's what we did in last time is our homework to plan and create a clear view what will be in the next 10 years in our gas grids. That means we repurpose a lot of our grids with into the pure hydrogen kit, and we build also new pipes. And especially in our area, we could say that we have to plan at the moment 900 kilometers of pure hydrogen pipes. And I think that will be a very good precondition for the value chain for hydrogen. And we will link this also with the European hydrogen backbone so that we have a very good flow also for the import.
Okay. Pierre-Etienne Franck, when you look at those infrastructure measures alone, and when you look at the billions of dollars that we just mentioned that have to be invested in building up Germany's future hydrogen industry, where do you see the biggest investment chances along the hydrogen value chain yourself, from your point of view as investor?
So I think we are dealing with a systemic change. Hydrogen will be the key enabler of the transition along with battery. And so it's going to be a decades-long investment plan. What people tend to forget is that the first, I would say, low-hanging fruits are the grey hydrogen producers that need to shift to green. And it's already a lot. And Germany is the largest hydrogen consumer and producer in Europe by far. So this is the stake first to tackle, is to find ways to help those producers to shift by having the right program and the right mechanism. So some of them are already there with the CapEx support that have been well established in Germany and in other countries. Other ones are being discussed with the European Commission, with the IPCEI regulation, as you know, which is still taking some time and everybody's waiting for it to be approved. If they are approved, they will enable to have contracts for different type of schemes, which I think enable to rapidly develop large-scale electrolyzers. And if you have existing off-takers, which is the big elephant in the room, as we say in France, which is where are the off-takers, with that you've got the off-takers already there for ammonia, for refining, for chemicals, and it's a way to start. But we should not forget, as was mentioned, I think, by one of your earlier speaker, the steel industry, and indeed Germany is one of the largest integrated steel producers, so with a lot of possibility to shift to DRI, and transport. As you know, we've invested again into redeveloping the hydrogen mobility network in Germany, which is the largest and the most comprehensive in the world. People forget that you will not get away from oil without shifting transport to electric mobility. And that's not going to happen only with batteries, whatever some people say. You need intensive mobility schemes which are using hydrogen. So, and that's a message for the regions. If you shift your region from coal-based industries into a more sustainable one, you need to develop basin strategies. And that's not only one industry that's going to take it all. It's a mix of industry, existing grey hydrogen consumers, and new users in steel and transportation. And this is what we're looking for, is basin-based strategies. The last element I would mention, because it's also maybe a connection to your colleagues from H2 Global, is that Germany has perfectly understood and is, I think, advanced from all the other European countries that the future is not purely locally produced hydrogen. We cannot. It's not. The beauty of hydrogen is that you can produce it everywhere, but the problem is the cost and the scale. And we don't have the right cost structure for making cheap hydrogen in Europe, and we don't have the scale, the space, the permitting time to do it fast. So this is where we need a mix of the two, and H2 Global, I think, is very well deployed and structured to enable to move fast on that direction as well.
That's the best bridge I've ever heard. I couldn't have written it better myself. To switch over to Timo Bollachai in Hamburg. Timo, when you look at Germany as Europe's largest economy and having your international project experiences in mind also, what Pierre-Etienne said and with your experience in mind, what's the biggest ace Germany has up its sleeve for potential partners and investors?
Well, as it's already been mentioned, I think we do have the economy already here. We're the largest hydrogen producer and off-taker within Europe. We've got the right setting, the right industries are all in place here in Germany. So I believe we're very well positioned also from a technology provider's point of view, as well as from an off-taker's point of view. That relates then again into sort of a right mix into sort of producing it locally and also importing it from outside of Europe, whether it's from the vicinity of Europe or even from let's say, further away countries like Stefan Kaufmann mentioned, Australia, Latin America, or Southern Africa, or Northern Africa, for example. But I believe sort of what we're talking about here also, Pierre, thanks very much for the kind words regarding H Global, is that we need now the right investment certainty to start investing today and now. I think the politics, they're pretty clear. If we want to reach our investment or our climate change targets, we need to start investing now. Now with the situation in Russia and the Ukraine, this has got a completely new spin on top. And also the industry is ready. Everybody's ready. The demand side is ready. The producing side is ready, but we just need the investment certainty. We need an investment case, the bankability of the projects. And that is where we try to come in with H2 Global to provide the right price security, the right market security, and also the security in regards to the regulatory framework, into regards to standardization, certification schemes. All of that is sort of the precondition to start off-taking or to stipulate the market off-take now. And that is where we're trying to come in with H2 Global. This is not only on imports, but potentially also in the future also for local, regional production within Germany. And I believe Germany, through that situation with the right off-takers and the right producers, I think is very well positioned to play a very important and vital role here.
Thank you, Timo. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for the moment. We have to be very short and we have to move over. So thank you very much for those insights and for your facts that you've been sharing with us during the last minutes. Some of you have to leave right now. So Veronika Grimm and Stefan Kaufmann, thanks again for being with us this morning. Take good care and stay safe, and hope to see you all soon again. But I'm very happy that most of our guests here in Berlin will stay, and so we have the chance to dig into some more details after we've seen the amazing projects already underway in our 3 former coal regions. And as promised, we move over to the Lusatian coal region, not far away from here. Our moderator on location in the lovely city of Cottbus is Caro Kahn. And it looks really amazing where you are, Caro. Are you with us and ready to take over for the next 30 minutes?
Yes, of course, we're ready. And thanks a lot, Jürgen Pfeiffer. Yes, it's really beautiful. We are a beautiful region with beautiful people and interesting people. So welcome back to our panel. Let me introduce you to our today's speakers. First, there is Thomas Horn, Managing Director, Saxony Economic Development Direction. Then Dr. Steffen Kamrat, CEO, Economic Development Agency Brandenburg. Frank Melo, Head of Strategic Business Area Founding Lausitz Energy Kraftwerke AG. And Professor Dr. Georg Möhlenkamp, Chair of Power, Electronics and Drive Systems, Institute of Electrical and Thermal Systems, BTU Brandenburg, University of Technology, Cottbus, Senftenberg. Thanks to all for joining us today. And before we are going to jump into our panel, we will watch together a short video greetings from Martin Dulik. He is the Saxon State Minister for Economic Affairs, Labour and Transport and Deputy Premier of the Free State of Saxony, and Professor Dr. Jörg Steinbach, Brandenburg State Minister for Economic Affairs, Labour and Energy. So, Showtime.
Wasserstoff ist der Innovationstreiber der nächsten Jahrzehnte. Ob beim Umbau der Industrie, bei Forschung und Entwicklung, ob bei der Energie oder bei der Mobilität. Wasserstoff ist das Zukunftsthema. Gerade in unserer Industrieregion und Energieregion haben wir sowohl exzellente Forschungslandschaften als auch die Unternehmen, die in der Lage sind, Wasserstoff zu produzieren, Elektrolyseure herzustellen, aber eben auch die Anwendungsbreite abzusichern. Sachsen, Sachsen-Anhalt, Brandenburg, das sind die Länder, die tatsächlich beim Thema Wasserstoff vorangehen. Und wir wollen kooperieren. Wir brauchen die Partner international. Und gerade Japan ist das Land, wo wir mit großer Neugier schauen, wie Innovation beim Thema Wasserstoff vorangetrieben wird. Japan kennt auch unsere Region. Und von daher sollte diese Zusammenarbeit gestärkt werden, um die Innovationskraft unserer Länder zu stärken.
Was ist das Ziel, das die 3 Ostbundesländer Sachsen-Anhalt, Sachsen und Brandenburg gemeinsam zum Thema Wasserstoff verfolgen? Wir 3 Bundesländer haben einen hohen Prozentsatz an installierter erneuerbarer Energie und das Ziel muss sein, insbesondere die Energie, die im Augenblick nicht in die reine Verstromung reingeht, einer Wertschöpfung zuzuführen, und zwar vor Ort und möglichst schnell. Das Stichwort also an der Stelle ist die Sektorkopplung und dort ganz viele Dinge deutlich CO2-ärmer im Footprint zu machen, als das in der Vergangenheit der Fall gewesen ist. Das muss der Weg sein, wie unsere 3 Bundesländer versuchen wollen, eine regionale Wasserstoffwirtschaft zum Wachstum zu bringen. Wir laden jeden ein, aus dem Ausland zu kommen, durch seine eigene Investition, um diesen Überschussstrom über die Wasserstofftechnologie einer regionalen Wertschöpfung zuzuführen.
The first impressions from Minister Martin Dulik and Minister Professor Dr. Jörg Steinbach. And now let's begin with our first guest and first question to Mr. Horn. We can observe that the cooperation between our 2 states works very well in Lusatia. What are the advantages of this approach and what makes Lusatia outstanding compared to the 2 other regions?
Yes, our 2 regions, Saxony and Brandenburg, have been significant European players over centuries. And Lusatia was always in between them, but not only in between, it was connecting them. And so when we started on this journey of energy transition a couple of years ago, there was no doubt that we will go this journey together on the driving seat with one wheel. And we went deeper into that, and we agreed a cooperation agreement between our 2 economic development agencies a couple of years ago, and the federal ministry is supporting us on that journey. And when you ask me what makes the Lusatia outstanding, it's location. It's just location here in the heart of Europe, in between Berlin, Dresden, the Czech Republic and Poland. It's the most eastern region in Germany, and so it's on the intersection of the transit routes from north to south, from east to west, and we can bring the region together to the next level with this energy transition here, with renewable energies and hydrogen as the most power for the future.
That sounds really good. Thanks a lot. Dr. Steffen Kamrat, are you already seeing the first successes in Lusatia?
Well, absolutely. I think Lusatia region is the focal point of the energy transition in Germany now. Innovative projects like Big Battery from the LEAG for renewable energies or the Fraunhofer Hydrogen Lab are just 2 examples for the new research landscape for decarbonization of industrial processes and new energy system that is being to be created. And at the same time, the Lusatia region plays an important role in the mobility transition as well. The region is directly located between the Tesla Gigafactory and the VW electric car plant. So within a very short time, several companies from the battery technology sector have settled in the Lusatia region, and the development is continuing. So I think now we have the opportunity for the next step, and this is the hydrogen business. In addition, new infrastructure like pipelines, we heard this from the guy from Ontras, or filling stations is underway. So first movers have the opportunity to bring in their demands in the current planning. And we, Thomas Horn and me, invite you, companies from all over Asia, to become part of this development, to present, to produce and to apply your advanced technologies right here in the Lusatian area at the focal point of the European and the German energy and mobility transition.
Well, thank you very much. It sounds really nice and like a big chance for the Lusatia, for our region. Let's turn now to the research in our region. Professor Dr. Mönkamp, would you like to tell us something about your work, of course? For example, which new developments in hydrogen research are currently happening at the BTU?
Okay, thank you so much. So actually we are founding at BTU, which is Brandenburg Technical University, a new research center, which is CESCO, Center for Hybrid Electric Systems, Cottbus, which is focused on sustainable propulsion system, mainly for aviation, but also for other applications. And for example, we have this model here of an airplane, which is the first target, which is a commuter aircraft with 50 to 70 seats based on fuel cell technology and on hydrogen-fired turbines. We are actually founding this, and this will have a big impact here on this area because a lot of spin-offs and partners will settle around this new big research center.
Okay, and the model, you can see it behind us. There is the plane. It's really, really cool to see the first building.
Application, yes. And it's very interesting, you know, many students are attracted and are very interested to come here and to do research together with us.
Okay, thanks a lot for this. After we hear some interesting facts about economy and research, I would like to introduce you to our last guest, Frank Melo. How does the coal region in transition process affect LEAG during next years?
Yeah, Caro, thank you. Let's call it in that way. We need a completely new strategy, and we need a completely new key business and core business. We as LEAG at the moment the owner and operator of big lignite power plants here in Saxony and Brandenburg. And now we need to transfer and we need to change our business development, our business models, our approaches, our cooperation models, and within that, hydrogen plays a really big role.
Okay, let's do the big role. The framework is set now. Let's get concrete, Mr. Horn. How can international companies and investors contribute in building up a hydrogen supply chain, and how do you support them?
The Lusatia is a region of chances. So they already can find supply chains here of German companies like Siemens, like Volkswagen, like BASF. And there are already a couple of international large names here, Toyota Denso, for instance, from Japan, or Alstom from France. And we are looking for partners for pilot projects, for demonstration projects, for technology topics, for state-of-the-art technologies to brought into these supply chains for mobility, for other industries of the future. Carbon, for instance, is a very interesting topic. Composite materials is an interesting topic. Aircraft manufacturing is an interesting topic. So a lot of points where hydrogen can play a very significant role. And we are thinking global, but acting regional. And that is the point. And to include those international projects into those regional and national supply chains, that is the challenge. And we already very much invite those companies to come here to ask questions and to bring their ideas into our discussions and into our projects. That's the point.
That sounds really, really nice. Dr. Cabot, we hear a lot about the speed of our region. How do you support hydrogen technology companies in the Lusatia region?
Yeah, well, basically, we support all companies at high speed, as Tesla speed as we call it. And I really think with the Tesla Gigafactory project, or the region has shown that we know how to integrate processes and to shorten process times. And for the Lusatian region, we, the Economic Development Corporation of Saxony and of Brandenburg, provide a brand new location and business service. We have set up a specialized team, a unit, which is only dedicated to render service for companies who are interested in settlement in the Lusatian area. We will guide you through the region. We network you with all research institutions, and very impressed about what Professor Möllenkamp said. Ladies and gentlemen, this is nothing less than the future of flying. It is sustainable flying, and it is developed in this Lusatian area, and you can be part of this. We connect you, and at last, we will support you finding the right personnel and helping you successfully recruit skilled staff. This is what our special task force for Lusatia will do. And I think together with the opportunities Thomas Horn mentioned, we set up a kind of welcome package for Asian companies who want to come to Lusatian area and want to become part of this development. We invite you to present, to produce, and to apply your advanced technology is right here. And so very welcome to the Lusatian area, the region that we love and that could be the future for your business.
Wow, that sounds really, really good. A good future. And Professor Dr. Möllenkamp, what makes the environment of the BTU Cottbus-Senftenberg particularly interesting for investors in the field of hydrogen?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about that, this hydrogen industry needs well-educated employees, then we are at BTU Cottbus in a very good position. We have a hydrogen research center since already 10 years, where the research on the optimization of electrolysis to hydrogen production is centered. We actually have refocused the chair of former power station technology now absolutely to hydrogen. A new professor is appointed, which is totally hydrogen focused. And when you think about that, we have around 6,800 students, whereof 2,500 are from international, so coming from abroad, like, you know, sub-Indian continent, Iran, China, and other countries, then we are in a very good position to support the hydrogen industry in this area with very well educated employees, which are needed.
Okay, fine. Mr. Melo, and from your point of view, what are the key factors in LEAG business development by implementing the new business areas beside of the lignite business?
Yeah, Minister Steinbach said sector coupling is the key factor. So that's also my opinion, and that is the approach from our processes, our projects, our starting point by changing that business development model. Within that sector coupling approach, we have the energy sector. That is our key business and should be our key business during the next years and in the future of the LEAG. And within that transformation process, we need, from my point of view, we need a step-by-step process. The first step is to implement green energy. That is what we will do, and what we are doing actually, we are implementing a lot of wind and photovoltaic projects in the Lusatia region, in our areas, in cooperating areas, and that is the starting point if you look on the energy sector in the transitional process. And based on that, in the next steps, we have to implement projects. So this. The second key factor, we need projects. We need projects, and we will implement projects on a decentral and on a central level. What does it mean? In Lusatia, we have really, really good prepared infrastructures and locations. We have the power plant locations, and they could be useful and they're interesting for placing projects with the hydrogen context. No, we have grid connection, access points on the electrical side. We need transportation lines for the hydrogen topic, but we have the connecting points with our locations at the moment. And within that key factors and within that processes, we do two things at the moment. We are implementing decentral starting processes in the traffic and transportation sector. That is important. We will start during next year with one of the first projects by using hydrogen for operating buses in corporations on the one hand, and on the other hand, we are dealing with projects using the hydrogen readiness within the energy sector. placed in our power plant locations, and that are the activities we are doing at the moment. We are preparing and we are realizing at the moment. And the third key factor from my point of view, and that is an interesting point for all partners, national but also international partners. We need cooperations. We need cooperations within Lusatia, within Brandenburg, within Saxony, and we are open for that cooperations, and we ask for cooperations on the demand side, on the generation side. And the target must be to get value chain processes and a value chain approach for getting new value chain processes in Lusatia and also in the eastern part of Germany.
So that sounds good. We want partners, we need partners. Let's talk at least about some current projects concerning hydrogen. Professor Möhrenkamp, which processes at the university will have an impact on the future of the region and possibly on Germany in general?
Yeah, I mean, there are huge changes actually ongoing. As I said already, power station technology is not, let's say, in the key anymore. The region is changing towards, for example, revamping existing power stations, for example, to storage power stations, to store, let's say, renewable energy when there is too much renewable energy in the electrical grids, and to give it back to the grids when it is needed. And there are many things like this ongoing and changing. And for example, here in BTU, we have already a spin-off, which is called turbo fuel cell or T-cell, which is a combination of SOFC fuel cell together with hydrogen-fired turbine, which gives the highest efficiency to come back from hydrogen to electrical energy, which is able to be, let's say, decentralized energy system, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of opportunities, and investors are already invited to join this kind of new technology starts up and to help us to develop our region faster.
Okay, thanks, Professor Möhrenkamp. Dr. Kamrat, the hydrogen economy is transforming many aspects of the current economic structure. What will be the next developments in Lusatia?
Well, good question. Please let me stress 3 points. First leads to infrastructure. The federal government as well as the 2 state governments strongly support this development in the region and the whole transition in the region. So I think from my point of view, in the next 5 to 10 years, this region will have the most advanced infrastructure that you can find in the whole of Germany. This is one very important point because we have a good geostrategical position between the German capital of Berlin, which is in the direct vicinity, so you have a showcase to the federal government of Germany when you are acting in the Alsatian area, but you're also connected to Poland, to Czech Republic, and to the Silk Road to Asia. So this is the first step, the infrastructure, which is going to be increased day by day. The second point is the existing business that Thomas Horn mentioned. We have an existing and very good working network of hydrogen companies in the region, and it's going to be stronger day by day. So someone who comes to the Lusatian region does not start alone by himself. He's part of a network from the first day. And I think this networking is in the DNA of the Lusatian people and companies. And we have very big one like LEAG that Frank Melo mentioned. And we have this on 2 sides of the land in Saxony as well as in Brandenburg. We have a region with 1 million inhabitants. So I think this is the second very important part. You're not alone. You are in a very vibrant economic infrastructure and society. And the third one is the combination of research and business. This is what Professor Möhrenkamp mentioned. We have the BTU, the Brandenburg Technological University, and it's the core of a Lausitz Science Park, which is just developing around the university with Fraunhofer Institutes, with German Aerospace Research Institute, and it's continuing in Saxony with the hydrogen plant in the hydrogen lab in Görlitz. So the whole region has the 2 phases of business and research, and they strongly work together. So this transformation is the third point I want to stress, and I think the whole development will come out of these 3 points: infrastructure, networking, and the combination of sciences and businesses. I think a very good route for further development.
Yes, well, I like the example with the DNA very much. That's absolutely true. Let's look to Saxony, Mr. Horn. Which hydrogen projects in Lusatia are ready for further corporations or a first market entry to Germany?
First, let me underline again the advantages of the region. So, as Steffen mentioned, there is already something, and not only to say something, there's a lot. So, there is space for projects. So there are industrial parks here in the region, very good developers, hold all the infrastructure you need. There is infrastructure for the hydrogen topic. There are pipelines, there are power lines for the electricity, and there are a lot of windmills and solar parks in the region as well. There are people which are hungry for new businesses. And let's also, we need the business cases. So let's speak a little bit about money. So this is the region in Germany with the highest incentive rates over the whole of the Federal Republic of Germany. And it's incentive rates for business cases, for industry topics, and it's also technology funding. And this brings us also to those projects, as mentioned, for instance, in Görlitz, where Siemens is producing turbines for power plants, gas steam turbines, and it's connected with the Fraunhofer Society for a hydrogen lab to bring the hydrogen knowledge of the Fraunhofer Society into the Siemens production topics and to create an innovation campus there. And this is connected with the other universities in the regions, as the BTU here in Cottbus or the Technical University in Dresden. And so we have researchers, we have space, we have infrastructure, and there is also some state money which can support those projects, like Power-to-X, which is a very challenging topic for the future. We need those synthetic fuels for the airplanes, we need it for the ships, and it can be produced here. And so if there are good ideas, and I believe there are some in Asian countries, in the regions of our viewers, so we like them to have it here in the heart of Europe and to do it together for good business cases and good uses for both sides.
So is our region perfect for investors?
Of course, we are as the regions, we say yes. And it's not only a marketing story. We are deeply convinced, we are firmly convinced that it is a good region. And we brought you so many arguments about that. Again, space, infrastructure, people, research, money, everything is here. So let's go.
Let's go. That sounds really, really good. Mr. Mehler, the LEAG is a dominating industry company in Brandenburg and Saxony. What are regional concepts in cooperation with the regions to enter industrial value chain approaches in Lusatia?
Yeah, let's start in that way. As Mr. Horn said, we are, from my point of view, we are a really, really strong region with lignite and also without lignite. That is really important, and we have to find future approaches by business development, and from our point of view, from their point of view, that can't be without a cooperation model also with regions, with companies, with local authorities, with the partners around us in the international background. We need that cooperations. So that is the overall key factor that we have in what we can bring in projects. Let's place it in that way. We are able to connect different parts of project development in value chain approaches. We have locations where we can place hydrogen generation. We have regulated business. We have grid operators, gas grid operators. They are operating gas pipelines at the moment, and they are also able to operating that hydrogen pipelines. And we have the demand side, and that is a connecting point in our region is really, really important. And what we actually are doing in a common approach, we are combining that strongness in cooperation models. From their perspective, one example, we signed a cooperation contract with Midnetz Gas. That is one of our biggest gas grid operator here in the eastern part of Germany. And that we are doing. We are placing cooperations with industry partners. We are placing that with local partners by developing industry parks, for example. We have different sectors. We have the industry, we have the energy, we have the transportation sector. And we have to combine it in common approaches, in business development approaches, industrial development approaches, by combining regulated and non-regulated business. And that is one strongness we have here in the region. And I think there are not so many examples in Germany of that.
Wow, so let's connect. So thank you very much to all of you to join us today. But now our time is up. So we're going back to Berlin, back to Jürgen Pfeiffer. Sehr gut.
Thank you very much, Caro. Thank you very much, guys in the Lusasian region. Thanks for the really impressive insights and for the points, very good bridges that we can take over. And if you, from the viewer's point of view, find the speakers interesting, don't hesitate to look after them and check via our website, gtai.live. And if you find special projects promising and perhaps fitting to your needs, the GTAI is working on the so-called Inbound Investors Tour, a kind of follow-up for you. If you're planning to do that, please check back and register also under gtai.live. Let's now have a few aspects underlined and highlighted what we have seen in the past 30 minutes, gentlemen. Pierre-Etienne, I've seen you watching very closely and listening very closely to what the panel said there. Looking from your investors' point of view, where do you see the most interesting points? Is it the cooperation point of view? Is it the three different or two different German Länder that are quite close cooperating? Is it that big size thing?
No, I think they've managed, because they had to struggle with this shift from coal to non-coal, they've managed to develop a very lively ecosystem with many different levels of skills, R&D, development, large energy schemes with, of course, Tesla. It's not my best friend, to be honest, but but they still managed to develop well in the electric mobility.
Yeah.
And they also claim vast production on the energy side with renewable energy. I don't know by heart, at least myself, the cost that they have there. But if they manage to connect that to what they said, the sector coupling with providing massive amount of hydrogen, that could be interesting. I understand also you've got a lot of network which are being prepared, or some are depleted, could be used, but maybe you will say a word on that later from Montrag. I think that is providing an interesting case. And maybe the last element is the notion of scale and massification. And I can speak from what we're doing with, because we're already invested into Germany through not only Hy2gen, which is a German-based developers in power-to-ammonia project, but also in H2 mobility, which is well known. And what we try to look for now is massive municipality or region-driven demand, or buses, for garbage trucks, or intensive mobility schemes, or even taxis, to basically build larger stations and even on-site generation. So I think those kind of initiatives, if they're capable to provide a strong offtake, is something we would certainly move into and invest at large.
Do you agree, Werner, with the preconditions that Pierre-Etienne mentioned?
Yes, of course. And I think also, look on our history. We have a lot of history and experience in the renewable energy sector, and it's wind turbine, it's mechanical industry. And if I look to the electrolyzers, also a mechanical industry, and you need mechatronicas and so on. So there's a lot of experience from the last years, 30 years. So I think that is one advantage, especially in some areas. If you look to Brandenburg, to Cottbus, they built the first in the BTU, this university, the first electrolyzer in 2011. They operate and have the experience there in combination with wind. And I think that is a new challenge also. You need the experience, how works it with wind and solar. It's not 8,000 full-load hours. And I think that is this system solution. It's not so easy. It's a little bit more complicated. You need a full understanding for that. And that experience are really happen, or they are available in Germany. And I think, especially in these regions also, if you look to Aachen, but also to Cottbus, and today we build the most wind turbines are built and produced in Germany, or based on German technologies. And I think that gives us a good pool position. And it's very important that the regions give the support, like Mr. Steinbach explained before. But also my message is, yeah, we have to act now. Time to market, that is the success story. And what I feel in the moment is a bit that we discuss too much, that we discuss a little bit too, we try to make the best or the right thing from the beginning. If we make the same strategy by the wind, we will stand around the first turbine and discuss and discuss. No, we start suddenly and say, okay, we'll build now the wind turbines. And of course, we make some mistakes.
You're talking about rolling up your sleeves?
Yes.
And trial and error. Trial and error process is what's...
It's not German. I mean, trial and error
it's not French either.
But that is the exact structure from the wind business. Yeah. We start really hands up, and then we see suddenly what we create today on turbines. And I think the technology for hydrogen is available. It's for the infrastructure. It's for the producing of green hydrogen, and of course we can do it better. We develop all the days the diesel combustion engine, and we find every day a new solution. But we start 100 years ago, and nobody waits that we have the best diesel machine.
We don't have that time anymore. I think.
If I may, the best renewable projects were not the top of the hard technologies. They were the first pioneering, having scale projects with the good support. This is exactly the same that's going to happen in hydrogen. It's not. Let's not wait for the best technology. The thing will be dead beforehand. So we need to start fast. That's exactly what you said.
Timo Bollai in Hamburg. I think you have, from your perspective, also one or the other project which you find very promising and scalable. Have you identified something very special?
We're entering actually into market consultation tomorrow in regards to H Global. But there are lots of really sort of scalable and interesting projects. At the moment, for the first auctions, we're looking into imports, as I mentioned, so not so much into Germany at this point in time. However, I really would like to agree and comment on also what Werner just said. We really need to start now. We need to start entering into that new territory. There will be lessons learned that we all learn, and we will be much more, let's say, we'll have much more insights in a couple of years' time. But we need to start doing that now. We need to learn our lessons here. And I believe, also coming back to the region in Lausitz, I think that's a very good example from what I just mentioned earlier, that the right ingredients are there, the right preconditions are there, the infrastructure is there, the technology providers, companies are there, offtake is there. And I think very important is also the workforce is there. And that is all underlined by the right, let's say, political commitment, what we just heard. I think the right framework is given. And I think this is the right setting that you need to enter into that new territory. We will make mistakes, and not everything will work out at the end of the day, but you need the right ingredients that need to be in place to, at the end, come to successful investment and hydrogen market plan.
Thank you, Thomas. Timo, Ralf, Barke, one thing is probably the key factor to get the industry defossilized. It is infrastructure. Yeah. I think from the gas grid point of view, the region is already sexy enough, but is there still potential to sex it up encore?
Yes, of course. I could underline the strongly demand that we see in the Brandenburg area, not only from the switching the coal to the gas plant. We also see a lot of research activities, and especially, for example, we together with other companies, we have a short membrane test plan within the area, and it's very important to have such results from such projects, and we could use this very often and very useful in our project NAV. And I will underline also in the Brandenburg area, we have a very good meshed grid, and it's very easy to repurpose this to the hydrogen area, and we are happy that we receive such an amount from this area.
As we are hopping to the next region, just one last question and short answer, please. Franz-Lena, from your point of view, where do you see the big advantage points for the Alsatian region kind of headlined?
Well, I think it has energy in its DNA, not just old energy, coal, but also renewable energy. And let me back this up with a little personal anecdote. Friend of my high school time in Bavaria, back in maybe 2010, he invested in large-scale photovoltaic solar projects, and he went exactly up there. Not because there's more sun than in the south of Germany, actually quite the opposite. But
it's hotter there, I think.
Because of the investment climate and the skilled workforce that you find there for such projects. And nowadays, I think hydrogen is the next story there. And you have the entire value chain, like re-electrification with the gas turbine technology in Frankfurt-Oder, but also, for example, in Cottbus, the BTU with hydrogen generation technologies. So both is there, the industry, but also the research and R&D.
All right. Thanks for the moment, gentlemen. Thank you very much. We're back in about 30 minutes. Now, it's time to move a little bit further to the east and move to the so-called central German coal region, which is located between the three states Saxony, Thuringia, and Saxony-Anhalt. On location in the very industrial and scenic surrounding of Leuna, Silke Frank is already waiting, I think at least. Silke, are you with us, and what do you have prepared with us?
Sure, we are here. Hello again from central Germany. I'm so happy that we have support from a huge crowd of people and institutions from the central German coal region. Dear audience, dear panel in Berlin. Right next to me stands Dr. Jürgen Ude, State Secretary for Structural Change and Major Investments, State Chancellery and Ministry of Culture of the State of Saxony-Anhalt. Dr. Ude, so happy to have you here. The stage is yours.
Thanks. Water is the coal of the future. Tomorrow's energy is water that has been decomposed by electric current. The elements of water thus decomposed, hydrogen and oxygen, will secure the Earth's energy supply for the foreseeable future. By Jules Verne, 1875. Dear ladies and gentlemen, green hydrogen, which is generated with the help of electricity from renewable energy sources, is a true all-rounder. It does not just make renewable energies storable, but also provides a wide range of possibilities for the energetic and material use. Thus, green hydrogen can be used for the successful system integration of renewable energies and the promotion of the climate protection in other sectors as well. Saxony-Anhalt, and especially the central German mining district, offer ideal conditions for the investment required in terms of the development of a green hydrogen energy economy. Why? Quite simple. Because Saxony-Anhalt is already a hydrogen state, the chemical industry is a federal state already produces around 3.6 billion standard cubic meters of hydrogen per year and consumes in the region. In addition, we are the following promotion factors. First, thanks to the chemical industry in central Germany, this state has one of the largest consumers of hydrogen as a basic material and thus a large regional demand for the market ramp-up. Secondly, the region has large industrial production capacities for hydrogen at the present time, still mainly from natural gas. Third, the central Germany, a 157-kilometer long hydrogen pipeline connects the relevant chemical production sites and underground gas storages. Based on these sites, the infrastructure and related applications of hydrogen can be gradually expanded. Fourth, in Saxony-Anhalt, a total of 2,842 wind turbines with an installed capacity of about 5,295 megawatts were connected to the grid of the end 2021. Thus, the state has extremely good prerequisites for expanding electrolysis capacities for green hydrogen here, especially due to existing infrastructure in the southern part of the country, the prerequisites best in Germany. This region represents the backbone of the hydrogen economy in eastern Germany. Thanks to the hydrogen strategy for Saxony-Anhalt, the state has created a model for a green hydrogen economy in the industrial and energy state of Saxony-Anhalt, and thereby made a political commitment to modern, sustainable and resilient economy. Dear ladies and gentlemen, Saxony-Anhalt is committed to the implementation of the energy transformation and the development of a green hydrogen economy. This good climate for innovation is also expressed in numerous investments here that contribute to this development. The world's largest electrolysis plant for the production and liquefaction of green hydrogen with a power output of 24 megawatts is currently under construction at the Leuna site. From mid-2022, up to 3,200 tons of green hydrogen we produce here annually. With the energy park at Bad Lauchstädt, a living laboratory for green hydrogen is being created in the region with an investment volume of 130 million euro. The project combines a new wind farm, a 30 megawatt electrolysis plant, and a pipeline connection to the chemical park Leuna and to a gas storage. The planned investment projects of common European interest, Green Hydrogen Hub Leuna and Green Octopus, will create the hydrogen infrastructure and future production capacities for green hydrogen in the central German region. There will be a hydrogen pipeline connection both to the Baltic Sea and to Western Germany, and in conjunction with the storage capacities in the gas storages, a European backbone for hydrogen. The production capacities will be furthermore expanded by a 100 megawatt electrolysis plant. In the future, it will be possible to supply the consumers in the region with green hydrogen quickly and reliably through the gas pipeline network and the existing H2 system. The federal state of Saxony-Anhalt, together with the German federal government and the European Union, offers an extensive promotional landscape to support investments in the development of the hydrogen economy. Dear ladies and gentlemen, as a part of its hydrogen strategy of Saxony-Anhalt has also set itself the goal of further supporting hydrogen research and expanding the necessary research infrastructure. There are corresponding resources and instruments available for this purpose, both regarding the support for companies and for universities and research institutions. In Saxony-Anhalt, several research and development projects on green hydrogen are currently being pursued. Many of the projects were developed in the context of the Hydrogen Power Storage and Solution East Germany Innovation Network, a network for all those interested in the hydrogen economy, from innovative SMEs, large-scale industry and research institutions. Together, all partners are pursuing the aim of establishing a cross-sectoral green hydrogen economy. Saxony-Anhalt, together with the Fraunhofer Hydrogen Lab here in Leuna, has promoted the establishment of a unique electrolysis test and trial platform, which is integrated into the Leuna chemical site. The Fraunhofer Hydrogen Lab Leuna provides scientific support for the industrial implementation of electrolysis processes, whereas further development and synthesis processes at the site. If the green hydrogen project succeeds, not only is the sustainable supply of raw materials to the companies will be secured, but the increasing share of regional surplus. Electricity will also be utilized in value-adding manner. Dear ladies and gentlemen, the region of central Germany has excellent conditions for the development of the green hydrogen economy and for the transformation of an industry geared to sustainability and resource conservation. I invite you to make your investments here and to participate in a promising transformation of economy in central Germany.
Thank you very much to Dr. Ude. And also thank you very much for your engagement and being here in your nice state. And now, dear audience, let's watch here at the Hydrogen Investors Tour 2022, a short video greeting from Wolfgang Tiefensee, Minister for Economic Affairs, Science and Digital Society in Thuringia.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the GTAI Hydrogen Investor Tours, which is now making a virtual stop over here in Thuringia. Thuringia is a part of the central German coal region. Of course, it will make its contribution to the transformation process in the energy sector. In order to accelerate the activities in the field of hydrogen technology, the state of Thuringia launched the hydrogen strategy in June 2020 and founded an industrial alliance for the increased use of hydrogen. Because we are convinced green hydrogen, which is produced in a climate-neutral manner, will play an important role for Thuringia as an industrial and technology location in the future. Hydrogen is already a very important raw material for some parts of our industry. In addition, hydrogen technology is becoming a key element in the energy sector, for example in electricity storage, heat supply and the transport sector. The development of an regenerative hydrogen economy has both ecological and economic aspects, and it's a top priority in the Free State of Thuringia. An important task is to support the local economy to create new, highly qualified jobs in line with a resource-saving and climate-neutral economic cycle. However, of course, we are also highly interested in national and international investors who are willing to participate in this process. The Free State of Thuringia supports those investors in all phases of the implementation of their investment projects. For example, in selecting suitable industrial sites, providing information about the business and market environment, providing state funding and incentives, accompanying investors in the handling of all official procedures, and also in establishing cooperations with partners from business, research and science. And for all that, we use the one face to the customer approach with our state development organization as a one-stop office for all needs. I would like to invite you to visit Thuringia not only virtually but also physically. We would be happy to convince you of our region as a first-class business location, especially in the hydrogen sector.
And now, let's have a look at the fantastic row of panel talk experts here in central Germany. By the way, you can dig deeper into the speakers' profiles and our key players at our GTAI.live platform. And use the matchmaking tool to connect with the most suitable person and chances. There you go, right next to me. Dr. Stefan Fenchel, Project Manager Green Plant, BMW Group Plant Leipzig. Christoph Friedrich, Manager Corporate Development, Leipziger Group. Professor Dr. Mark Jentsch, Professor in Energy Systems, Bauhaus University, Weimar. Matthias Koras, CEO Maximator Hydrogen, and Dr. Andreas Wolf, Head of On-Site Account Management, German Southeast of Linde. Welcome on the stage. Professor Jentsch, let's start. Which role can the central German coal region play in Germany's target to reach 80% renewable electricity generation by 2030, and which part will hydrogen infrastructures have in this?
Well, the central German region can play a large role when it comes to hydrogen infrastructures, because here we have large coal-fired power plants that will go off the grid, and we have the substation infrastructure. This means the electrical infrastructure where we could build large-scale hydrogen electrolyzers, and we could then also feed this hydrogen into existing gas network and transport it throughout the region. We have also large-scale gas underground storage here. So, and first projects are looking at this, large-scale electrolysis, large-scale underground storage, and the region is geared up for implementing renewable energy based on wind on the old coal sites, the old pits. So I think this is centrally in Germany, the perfect region to do this.
So, some words of Professor Jens. Dear Mr. Friedrich, is also your topic. What does LIFE mean, and what does the name stand for?
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
thank you
for having me.
LIFE is the hydrogen value chain for Europe. We are a consortium of 4 projects and companies. LIFE System of the Leipzig Group, LIFE Generation by the EDL, LIFE Transport by the ONTRAS, and LIFE Flexibility by the VNG. We are build up the whole value chain of the hydrogen economy and the producer and the consumer relations in a region. So that's stand for LIFE.
There you go. We hear you later, and now we have some company insights for you. Dr. Wolf, what role does Linde play in the hydrogen sector? And I know that, but you should tell our audience, how long have you been active in the market?
Thank you very much for this interesting question and nice introduction. As you might know, Linde is a world-leading company in the field of industrial gases, but also in engineering. Linde has been in the hydrogen business for many years, for more than 30 years. We are covering the total hydrogen value chain, from production over conditioning, distribution, but also storage of hydrogen. Furthermore, our engineering department designs and builds plants for hydrogen production, or also the other fields of the hydrogen value chain. Hydrogen has been already part of the Linde's core business, and for the future, important part in our company.
Thank you. Dear investors, I think I don't have to explain BMW to you, but I'm sure Dr. Fenchel will tell you some new insights about the car maker. Dr. Fenchel, what are the goals of your green plant project at the BMW Leipzig plant?
Well, thank you. BMW Group has ambitious goals to reduce carbon emission per vehicle by 80% by 2030. And the Green Plant project here in Leipzig is trying to accomplish the contribution by means of substituting the natural gas with green hydrogen in the area. That is our ambitious goal, and that even before 2030, hopefully.
So, for driving cars, and for sure other vehicles like trucks and buses, we need refueling stations. Mr. Koras, can you give us some insights into your expertise?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me here. So we, in Maximada Hydrogen, we are a manufacturer of a hydrogen compressor, and by this also a hydrogen refueling station. And especially in one of our neighbor countries in Switzerland, we are part of a very great project. Over the last 3 years, for now, we refueled over 300 tons of hydrogen in over 30,000 refuelings. So a lot of knowledge is created here in Thuringia with our stations, all out there in Europe and in future in the world.
Thank you, Mr. Koras, for your first statement here. Yeah, without research, no The particular strengths of the central German coal region in terms of hydrogen technology research?
Well, I think we have a good basis for hydrogen technology research. We've got material scientists, for example, on the ceramics side for selective membranes for hydrogen purification in Dresden and Hermsdorf at Fraunhofer. We also have a Fraunhofer at Halle. We have a strong hold in optical industry in Jena with photonics, Leibniz Institute. We have strong mechanical engineering and electrical engineering universities like Chemnitz, Ilmenau, and we ourselves at Bauhaus University, for example, are researching into hydrogen infrastructures, so we can really go from the component development up to the full system, the full-scale infrastructure, and also we got a numerous polytechnics generating graduates for the companies in the region.
Mr. Friedrich, why is the region around Leipzig so unique for building a hydrogen economy?
Yes, Live is located in middle Germany, so we have already one of the biggest hydrogen infrastructure in Germany and Europe, and we also plan to build up a new hydrogen infrastructure to connect the region of Leipzig and the city of Leipzig to from the European hydrogen backbone. Especially in this north of Leipzig, we plan to connect the automobile industry, the logistics, and also the airport. And in the south, we have a new power plant, which also connected to the hydrogen backbone. And we have also a big cavern storage we are in Bad Lauchstädt, which is able to highly flexible hydrogen demand and supply balancing. And we also plan to build up filling stations for the public transport and also for the street cleaning, not cars, but vehicles. So we have all things which is important for the whole value chain in the region, and this is a unique proposition for us.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear participants, have you seen how lucky everyone has looked at the moment when he said we are planning to build a new station? Yes, building a new station is making us happy. And big was also one word in Mr. Friedrich's statement. Dr. Fenschel, again, how big are you thinking? Does the infrastructure in the central German mining region help you to achieve your goals?
Yes, I think so. I'm very, very positive about that. I think the area provides all the puzzle pieces you need for a complete value chain in hydrogen. You have the producers' capacities, you have the infrastructure, and you have consumers. We, as our BMW Group, Plant Leipzig, we want to be one of the first consumers to think hydrogen big as a full substitute for natural gas, as I mentioned. And I think there's other industrial players here in the area who would come on the same train, and I think that is the best precondition we can have for a huge market ramp up in the hydrogen economy that we see here.
Thank you. We go to the very left from your point of view. Dr. Wolf, Linde is a global company and you operate in over 100 countries, I have learned. Why did you choose Leuna in central Germany as a location for your future project, the 24 megawatt plant? And can you give us some details on that?
Well, very short answer on a complex question. It's infrastructure. We have already the complete hydrogen value chain in place here in Leuna. We are operating hydrogen plants for the production. We have conditioning facilities, so we can compress hydrogen and distribute it via pipeline network to our customers. We can liquefy hydrogen and transport it in liquid form, cryogenic, all over Europe. We can compress it into truck trailers and transport it in gas phase in trucks to our customers. So we have all this infrastructure already in place, and therefore it makes sense to offer new products by mean green hydrogen in the future, and to be able to supply all interested customers with this new green hydrogen product. And therefore, I think it makes sense to make this new and path-breaking investment of this 24 megawatt electrolyzer, which is, by the way, the biggest at the once it's commissioned in the world with this new PEM technology, to place it here in Leuna. And maybe one more word, this electrolyzer, it's also built by ILE. ILE is a joint venture between ITM Power and Linde Engineering. And so also it helps us as a company to gain a lot of knowledge in this new emerging field of production.
Thank you. And you can hear a lot of partnerships are taking place. This is not new for the hydrogen economy. We do that since many, many years and decades. But now we are having a new drive, and this is really fantastic. And I think also with Maximator Hydrogen, you can feel this drive, dear Mr. Koras. Are there already concrete plans for the coming years?
Yeah, of course, because we hear a lot of possible customers, and out there in the world are a lot of them. Yeah, so right now we are getting ready to supply more than 4,000 stations until 2030. Yeah, so that we can scale this demand. And by this, also our owners, our family is investing in Thuringia, in Nordhausen, into a new facility, into a new plant, to be able to produce these stations. So we already made our investment in Thuringia. So what will follow? What will follow is another station. So we are looking forward to get the station to Nordhausen, because we already also invested in some hydrogen cars, 10 of them, and a lot of more will follow.
There you go. A lot of more will follow. So I can tell you, we now do have some few minutes left, and we will do now something which I could call quick and light, so the same light than hydrogen has got as a molecule. To sum it up in one sentence, dear experts here in the central German coal region, why should investors come to central Germany? We will start with Dr. Fenchel, go to Mr. Friedrich, to Professor Jensch, to Mr. Koras, and then finally to Dr. Wolf. There you go.
This is the place where you will see zero-emission factories.
We have the whole value chain in Germany.
The research infrastructure is here in the region.
And you have the right companies to deliver all the technology which is needed.
And we have the strong commitment by all companies, but also from politics, as you heard in the beginning, here in this area.
Are you impressed? I am impressed about the central German coal region here at Leuna, at the site of Infra Leuna. And now, back to Jürgen Pfeiffer, back to Berlin.
Thank you very much, Silke. Thank you very much here from Berlin. That's been really impressive what you've been showing us and what your colleagues have been telling us. Before we continue to comment on that, let me make a short service announcement for you. For all of you who wish to dig deeper into the three regions and have GTAI preparing the so-called inbound investors tour, there's just one necessary precondition. Please register on gtai.live, and the folks from GTAI will surely come back and get in touch with you. Another important thing is we have a questionnaire prepared for you on the website of the project. We would, of course, love to hear your ideas and investment plans, of course, if you want to tell them. And, of course, we love to hear also your comments on the projects we have showed today. So, same way of keeping in touch with us, gtai.live. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have seen now is very impressive, let's say, power 3 German countries, Franz Lehner. What was your feeling when you have seen and heard of what is already underway in that middle region?
Yeah, I think it can really be a blueprint for zero-emission industry, manufacturing, etc. So they have the infrastructure for hydrogen already in place. They have a history of base chemical manufacturing, and so they are ahead of the rest of the country, I guess, in terms of turning our manufacturing industry to zero emissions, and hydrogen will be a key ingredient to that transition.
Timo Bollai, when you from Hamburg are looking at that and with your experience in project management, did you see a certain project or a certain feeling where you said, yeah, this is the spirit that we have to feel? This is what I have learned is really successful in the end?
Yeah, very much. I mean, what really impressed me, I mean, we just heard about the PEM electrolyzer that will be installed. And I just came back also together with Stefan Kaufmann from Australia, actually. We visited and the largest electrolyzer installed in the Southern Hemisphere. That was 1.25 megawatt. I mean, just to give you an example, so these are the vicinities that we're talking about. So now we're talking about the largest PEM electrolyzer here, which is, I think, 20 or 30 times bigger than the one that is being installed in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia. That just shows sort of the right commitment that we see, and these are the right steps that we need to take. We need to get into the 20, 30 megawatts, and then hopefully soon in the 100 megawatts. Everybody talks about the gigawatts at the moment, but we first need to take the 100 megawatts that need to be installed, and that's, I think, the right step, and that's the right spirit that we see here.
Okay, Pierre-Etienne, is that the spirit at the moment? Gigawatt scale? Are we better off in realizing in first steps smaller factories and concentrate on the 200 megawatts like we have planned for Rotterdam, for example?
I think it is far easier to sell a 15 years multi-gigawatt plan than to deliver a 100 megawatt in 2 years. But what the industry needs is the 100 megawatt in 2 years. And indeed, you've got a couple of projects which are on the go and which are going to serve existing grey hydrogen consumers which need to shift to green progressively in Rotterdam, in Hamburg, in Normandy, in south of France, in Spain, etc. And those ones are critical for the industry. And I would say maybe 2 words also, which back to the region. First is the personal one is I've been living the very advanced mindset of this region in Dresden back, I think it's almost 20 years ago when they did this AMD fab, where we were at Air Liquide at the time, supplying the first tri-generation, which was doing power, hot water, and the other one was heat. And we had no rights of any micro cuts. It was the first in the world, and it was in Dresden. So there is a taste for advanced technology. And the second topic is that they know hydrogen. Leuna is one of the big places for hydrogen, and it's also a place with a lot of grey hydrogen, so which needs to be transformed into green. So I think there is a place for massive projects there. So I think it's a very interesting region for that.
As we have been to Leuna, Ralf Barke, it's always the question, how is industry able to get the amounts and the quantities of hydrogen? How important is a refinery infrastructure, for example, like we have it in Leuna from years on and from decades, in order to split and to and to divide and to produce other kinds of power to liquid that are having their special use in industry?
Yeah, from my point of view, the Leuna is more or less a nucleus for a close value chain that we could find, and especially if you look on the project Bad Lauchstädt Energiepark, there we have the producing side, we have the transportation, the storage side, and also the consumer side. And that's all together, and we will realize this in a very short period and earn a lot of experience for this. And that's, for me, it's very exciting to follow this. And yeah.
Is that, Werner Diewald, that division of business cases and scalable projects that have the critical mass to be the future hydrogen hub of Germany?
Yes, of course. I think especially the demand. You need a critical size of demand, and around these refineries you find it. So it's, for example, for Leuna, of course, it's a big refinery, but also there are other places in Germany. What I see now, and I think that is the most important message for me from the regions, the engineers and the scientists have done his job. And I trust them that they can scale up it very, very easy. What I miss is a little bit the framework, the political framework, the regulation framework for the business case. You see every time the discussion, we heard it before from Bjertjan also, why I should build a 100 or 200 megawatt electrolyzer project, power plant, or green power plant, whatever, when there's no market. I waste my money, or the company wastes the money. So we need a business case for that, and I think that we missed. And I trust also the engineers look to the offshore wind. The biggest turbines have 5 megawatt, and we build gigawatt wind farms. Nobody asked if it's possible. Yes, of course, we can do it. We bring the evidence. And the same situation we have on the electrolyzer side, or for the electrolyzer power plant, or they call it everything, multi-energy refineries. Nobody will build one stack with 100 megawatt. We want to build electrolyzer plants with 100 or 1 gigawatt, but of course the stacks are 2 megawatt or so on, and we have a lot of them inside. So why it should not be possible? What we must really, and I think that is the most important message, what I told every time, is we need a regulated framework for a business case.
Which goes to the regional governments, or is that a message for national government here in Berlin, or is it a message for?
I think that is not a one-way ticket. So, of course, it must be done by the government, by the national government, or by the European government. But so we need the demand, the calls from the regions, and say, hey, we are ready. We want to go forward. Everybody agreed here. And we wait for the business, and it's our opportunity to create new jobs. Please give us the possibility. And I think so. It's the call from the region is very, very important to the government, to the national government.
I now declare the headline: "Push your politician." In that respect.
Yeah, that is it.
Thanks a lot for that impulse, Werner and gentlemen. We're back in about 30 minutes again, but after the next presentation. Now it's time to make a quick change of direction and move to the western part of Germany, located some 600 kilometers from Berlin and quite close to the lovely Benelux countries, Belgium, Luxembourg and the Netherlands, and of course France. You'll find the so-called Rhenian region. On location in a very traditional and historic coal mining surrounding is my colleague Thomas Kattenstein. Thomas, where are you exactly? Are you with us, and are you prepared for the next 30 minutes? It looks like.
Yeah, thank you, Jürgen. Thank you, Jürgen, for the introduction. Of course, we are prepared, and we are sitting here in the lovely Energetikon, which is a former coal mine with a very traditional environment here. And we are, of course, prepared. We have, I believe, a very interesting discussion with our participants. And I would like to introduce first to you our speakers and our panelists. On my right-hand side, on the first hand, is Elke Hohmann from the Zukunftsagentur Rheinisches Revier. Here she is head of project development. And the Zukunftsagentur is the first point of contact for settlements in the region here. Second is Betty Chu. She's coming from NRW Global Business, and here she is head of the business unit China and Latin America, and she's the first point of contact for settlements in North Rhine-Westphalia, I would like to say. And on the far right, we see Dr. Daniel Opoku. He's representing the Brennergy Park Jülich, and here is head of business settlements and marketing. And the Brennergy Park Jülich is a special park for settlement of companies and research institutions in the city of Jülich. On my left-hand side, we have Dr. Stefanie Kesting. She's Managing Director of Neumann Esser, NEA Green. She's Managing Director of Arcanum, and she's Board Member and Division Director of NEA Energy, and as well President of CO2 Value Europe. Neumann Esser is a formerly compressor manufacturer, but in the meantime, today, they are offering the complete hydrogen value chain with regard to our topic of today. And last but not least, we have Carsten Krause. He's Managing Director of Elogen and at the same time Project Manager of the High Cologne network, which connects companies and research institutions here in this area. And Elogen is producing PEM electrolyzer technology. And before we start the discussion here, I would like to introduce to you our Minister, Mona Neubauer. She will give a welcome address on hydrogen activities in our federal state, North Rhine-Westphalia. Minister Neubauer is coming from the Ministry of Economic Affairs, Industry, Climate Action and Energy of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished investors, as a Minister of Economic Affairs and Climate Action of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today about the potential of hydrogen for transformation of the Rhineland mining area. North Rhine-Westphalia is Germany's largest state in terms of residents. We are home to a diverse population of 18 million. Coal mining has been a defining feature of our economy for many decades. Now that part of our history is coming to an end. The last remaining collieries and coal-fired power plants in the Rhineland area will close by 2030. Our industrial sector, especially power-hungry industries such as the chemical industry and the steel industry, will have to adapt. The state government has set up a hydrogen roadmap with a very clear goal. We want North Rhine-Westphalia to become a European model region for the hydrogen-based energy transformation. The Rhineland is in a good place to achieve this goal. We have the necessary demand from local industry. We are close to the seaports in Belgium and the Netherlands, which allows us to import the hydrogen that we cannot yet produce ourselves. We have a lot of the necessary transport infrastructure already in place, and we will invest in what is still missing. And we have the technological know-how of both businesses and research institutions, which includes the energy specialists at Aachen University and the new Helmholtz Hydrogen Cluster at Jülich. Ladies and gentlemen, I firmly believe that hydrogen will be one of the keys to a successful transformation of the Rhineland mining area. You are all invited to become part of this transformation story. I hope to welcome you to North Rhine-Westphalia very soon.
Yes, thank you, Minister Neubauer. You have seen that we have very committed government here in North Rhine-Westphalia with very concrete objectives with regard to hydrogen. In order to discuss this a little bit deeper, I would like to ask first Elke Hohmann. What is the Rhenish region about? What can investors expect when they come to this region here?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And as we heard before from our minister, we are in the heart of North Rhine-Westphalia. So we have 2.4 million inhabitants, which is 15% of the inhabitants of North Rhine-Westphalia. But more important is that without of our region, you can reach 135 consumers within a 500-kilometer radius. And that's because we have a very good infrastructure. We have good motorways. We have railway lines. We are close to the seaport, as mentioned before. And that is not enough. So we are an industry region. We are an industry region by history, if you like, and our main branches are, beside energy, it's mechanical engineering, metal industry, chemical industry, but also agribusiness. And industry stands for skilled and well-educated workers, and also a supply chain from components, parts, to technology. And that leads to another good point, the exceptionally high density of universities and research institutes. We have heard already about Aachen. We have heard about Technologiezentrum Jülich, also German aerospace centers, and we have 6 University of Applied Sciences, universities that are very close to small and medium-sized companies. And the good news is that every year we welcome 25,000 graduates from our university. So we have good young people into the business. And we are an energy producing region, as we heard before, and that is why hydrogen is so important to us. So it plays a main key role in the projects we are developing at the moment. And the company I'm working for, the Zukunftsagentur Rheinisches Revier, is a central point of contact, if you like. So we are the interface for all the partners we are welcoming in our region, such as sciences, business, politics, associations within and outside our region, but also all the investors. So I'm very pleased to get in touch with you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hohmann. Very good. So we are not starting from scratch here. Yes, already we have some developments in the hydrogen business. Good to see that. Betty Chu from NRW Global Business. What are you exactly doing? What kind of help do you offer to investors in North Rhine-Westphalia and in the Rhenish region?
Thank you, Thomas, for the question. Actually, Ms. Hohmann said many arguments for choosing NRW and also the Rhenish region. What I can say and also repeat is NRW is in the heart of Europe. We have a very dense population, and for you to know, NRW is the 6th largest economy in Europe, not only in Germany, it's in Europe. And we have a very dense transportation infrastructure, which helps us to accelerate many projects. What else can I say? Well, NRW is actually the energy hub in Europe. Why? Because 30% of Germany's electricity is generated in North Rhine-Westphalia. We have actually a share of about 46% of renewable energies in 2021 here in NRW. And if it comes to hydrogen, which is the topic here, I could say that NRW has already 240 kilometers of pipeline, which is already used for transporting hydrogen. We have over 140 programs funded programs for hydrogen projects. And what else can I say? The industrial companies actually use already 17 terawatt of hydrogen for their production. So this is what we can say, what I can say concerning our status quo of hydrogen and what can NRW Global Business actually do or support investors. Well, if you want to invest here in NRW, we can offer you a full professional package of service. We support you in finding a location. We accompany the companies to the sites. We give them connections to financial institutions like NRW Bank. But as we also have a huge database with companies, we can connect them also with key players of the branch. And what is very special in our agency, we do have representatives abroad. We have 17 representative offices, so companies who have not decided yet to travel to Germany and have then the long journey, they can get in touch with our offices abroad. We have offices in China, United States, UK, Israel, India, Japan, South Korea, Turkey, just few to mention, and be welcome to get in touch with us. We welcome you in North Rhine-Westphalia and also in the Rhinish region.
Very good. Thank you, Betty. We got to know 2 persons of contact if you're interested in investments. We have another representative here, Dr. Daniel Opoku, representing the Brennergy Park in Jülich. You offer on a special spot in Jülich, in the city of Jülich, special services for investors. Please explain your activities.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. The Brennergy Park Jülich is a commercial district with 52 acres of fully developed land. And an additional 120 acres has been allocated to be added to that space already in the draft regional plan. So firstly, what we offer is a lot of space for settlements. Secondly, we offer proximity to research institutions, as mentioned before. Considering the number of researchers per capita, it's actually the highest number within Europe. So I think that stands out with regards to the Brainerd Park Jülich and its location and environment. And we have in place technology transfer managers on our payroll actually at Brainerd Park Jülich GmbH, who are associated with individual research institutes to support technology transfer activities. And thirdly, in selected cases and specifically for startups, we offer turnkey constructions such as office buildings, for example, multi-purpose halls or laboratories within the commercial district.
So a very good surrounding for companies to come to Jülich and to come to the Rhinish region, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Very good. So I would like to ask now Dr. Stefanie Kesking from Neumann and Esser. You are already in the business for a long time now in hydrogen. I mentioned that you started with compressors, but today it's a lot of more. Could you explain what you are doing and how the development of hydrogen in the Rhinish region is today? And where are business cases already? That was a discussion we had before.
Yeah, very happy to do so. So Neumann Esser indeed will be in the climate year 2030, 200 years old. So we have a lot of experience, I can say. And even in hydrogen compressors, we have more than 80 years experience. So hydrogen wasn't new to us. When the big announcements started all over the world that the hydrogen economy has to start, will start. And that was the starting point when the company owners, it's a family-owned business, decided to strongly expand into the whole value chain of hydrogen and into the value chain of green gases in general. That includes also biomethane, but today we are talking hydrogen, of course. So indeed, we offer today the full value chain from the first question if hydrogen makes sense at a certain location, what the capital expenditures would be, how the financing could be managed and organized, and how the business case looks. And maybe I can add to all the good initiatives that were mentioned a bit of reality and the real flavor of the business to it, because we are sitting here in a nice location, nice weather. We have nothing to worry about, more or less, and next to the big climate needs and the climate policies that have to be implemented very soon. We have also a war, and that has led to an enormous increase to our experience in the need to really decarbonize and to also exchange the gas streams from Russia, for example. I mean, you all know yesterday Nord Stream 1 was stopped for normal maintenance reasons. Now everybody is really concerned what happens in the future. So we get more and more for all different kinds of reasons, we get more and more requests from, and now I come to real business cases, from industry here in the region, but also worldwide, of course, but especially really in the region. And we were surprised how many companies have thought through the decarbonization roadmap, through sustainability options, and through real opportunities to switch entirely from natural gas to hydrogen. And to our experience, the political framework is right now a bit focused on mobility applications. And for the investors in the virtual room here, where an HRS, a hydrogen refueling station, is added to an electrolyzer, you can be sure that we can make a business case easier workable. However, I really argue a lot on in the public, and we try really to convince politicians that it shouldn't be limited to the mobility sector, because really here next door, and our headquarters is not far from here. in Heinsberg, we have, for example, a project which is now goes into planning stage. The business case is ready, the consortium is ready and formed, and we want to start building an electrolyzer with a mobility application, with a refueling station. And in this project, it's in Heinsberg Oberbruch. Who wants to Google it or contact me for details? The abbreviation is H2HS for Heinsberg. And in this project, we combine in an industrial park many different kinds of users. So it's from the mobility sector. It's the local bus company. With 10 buses, they want to switch, or 10 bus lines, I should say, plus industrial users, including users that will use the excess heat from the electrolyzer. So we combine all kinds of different users. We combine different use profiles, and we try to generate the CO2 quota that is opened up for mobility. And that all gives a business case. And in reality, you need to be very, very creative right now, very comprehensive in the thinking how to combine different users to the whole hopefully optimized components chain. I come to the end. And that is what we really stand for and what we really want to achieve, which is our own goal, that we would like to optimize the technical value chain from the renewable energy input towards the electrolyzer, which we produce, to the HRS, to the storage systems, and then really combining the applicants in a way that we will find a business case. And happy to talk about the possibilities also for external investors that are heavily needed.
Thank you very much. I would say that's a good testimonial that we have already projects here in this region and that a business case is possible if you arrange the project properly. Carsten Krause, Managing Director of Elogen and also Project Manager of the network High Cologne. My question to you is, how does the network support companies, also companies that are willing to settle here, and how does your company profit or benefit from the service of High Cologne?
Yes, I can say maybe a first few words about High Cologne. So High Cologne is as you said at the beginning, it's a public-private partnership. It's a network to support hydrogen activities. We started 15 years ago, and the reason why we started is that we had byproduct, and this is an industrial region, a chemical region. So we had hydrogen already. And now we go more and more for green hydrogen, but it's very important to have this green hydrogen, this hydrogen, this byproduct. So we started this project, and in the end we had, we started with the first hydrogen buses and fueling stations, and we developed it from step to step. We are part with High Cologne and our members. That's a network. So we have partners from cities, from energy companies, small companies, big companies, universities, and we were going into projects. And the main project in history was this development of this bus fleet. So we have now more than 50 buses running in the region of Cologne, the biggest bus fleet, hydrogen bus fleet in Europe, and still ongoing. And we were part of all these European-funded projects like JIVE and CHEEK. And we got funding from NRW and from Germany. So we got a lot of experience here. And this was also a step to bring, and this project shows how we bring together companies and cities and to work for new projects. And 15 years ago, there was not a booster like we have today for hydrogen. So it was even more important to have a network. And this also was a reason for Elogen to settle down. So Elogen is a PEM electrolyzer manufacturer based in Greater Paris, and we go for PEM electrolyzer. We will go for a stack factory in France, but 7 years ago we decided to go to Germany, and the decision was, yes, we go to this region, we go to Cologne, and we got a strong support by Germany Trade and Invest, by NRW, Global Business, and even one main reason was also High Cologne, because we had a group of partners to support us and to bring us together, to help us for the first projects or to go to fairs together and to get funding together. And because 8 years ago it was not so easy like it is today, so even for business cases. So this was a reason for us to come to this region. And if I look back into the last 8 years, we had a lot of ongoing projects, and so we were very happy to be here in this region.
Thank you very much. So our network is here, companies are here, so we can start the business, and we have already started the business. But of course, it's very important, Elke Hohmann, for new investors, for companies who would like to settle, that we also have a good R&D area. Could you reiterate what kind of R&D and institutes, universities we have here in the region?
Well, we have a very good basics for development and design here in this region. So we have Aachen University, we have Helmholtz Cluster, we have Fraunhofer Institutes, we have University of Applied Sciences, so we have many of them. But to come to the point, hydrogen is a central element. And we have many projects going on already, and that are projects going on in companies as well as in research institutions, as well as in cooperation of both. And that is the main important thing, that we have the transfer from the research institutions into the companies, and also vice versa, so that we learn from each other. And looking for one favorite project, I can't name it, but one of the flagships, that is of course the so-called HCH2 project. That is the famous, if you like, project from the Forschungszentrum Jülich that will set up a Helmholtz cluster. And this cluster is for sustainable and infrastructure compatible hydrogen economy. So what does this cluster do? It will do research, develop and demonstrate innovative technologies for production, logistics, and for the use of green hydrogen on a large scale. So we are coming from prototyping into real business, and that is the case. And hydrogen will be expectable in real application in our area. And that is very important for all the investors and all the companies around. And this cluster will be located in the Brainergy Park in the head of our region. So that is one of the famous projects I want to point out. But in general, we heard already, we have a very wide and good network of institutions, of other network partners such as High Cologne, or Energy for Climate, or also the Innovation and Technology Center of Hydrogen. And all lines are coming together in our offices, and we are doing a lot of hosting for these networks.
Okay, thank you, very good. Betty Chu, coming to international cooperations that are already ongoing, can you give us some examples of cooperations or of successful settlements that have taken place here in the region or in NRW in general?
Sure, indeed. We do have many cooperation in NRW. To mention some, I would like to start with two governmental projects, actually. The one is called the Rhine Project, which is a collaboration between the province Südholland and the Ministry of Economy. And the aim is to establish a zero-emission transportation corridor for the usage of hydrogen in the inland transportation chain. The other one is actually a quite new one. It's a cooperation between Innovation Norway and NRW Energy for Climate. This is the energy agency of the state North Rhine-Westphalia. And this agreement focuses on the green transition. If I come now to the commercial side, we do have very famous investors here like Plug Power, who decided to open up or settle down their European headquarters in Duisburg. They will establish an R&D center, logistic and service center. Then we have Cummins with their subsidiary Hydrogenics, who are going to build fuel cell-based trains. Also in Herten, is in the Ruhr area. Then we do have a Japanese company called Asahi Kasei. They actually built a demonstration project for alkali water electrolyzers in Herten already in 2018. So they were quite one of the first ones investing in NRW in the field of hydrogen. And last but not least, I would like to mention Enapter. They are located in the northern part of North Rhine-Westphalia. They build up a campus and will actually start the first automated facility for the production of AM electrolyzers. So we do have many international testimonials in NRW, yes. We're very proud of it.
Yes, I think you could be proud of it because it's a very successful stories that we have with regard to cooperation and settlement. Dr. Stefanie Kesting, what do you expect? What kind of companies are still needed here in the Rhenish region to come here?
Yeah, we heard it already. We have a lot of electrolyzer producers, and we produce also PEM electrolyzers with our brand Hydron. What is important now, I said it in my first statement, in real projects, it is about optimization, it is about putting together the full chain. So what we definitely will need, and where we are still also looking for cooperations, is for certain components. It's in the crisis times now even more important to have reliable partners in the whole value chain, of course. Those people or companies do not necessarily have to sit here or to be located here, but to have reliable partners is essential to be successful also in the time projected in the projects. And second, when you start building a project, an electrolyzer in integrated systems as we do it, in a decentral way, talking about 1 to 5, 1 to 10 megawatts, it's really located for the local or dedicated for the local needs and local usage. It is essential to also have the right digitalization, the right software to fully integrate all components. And although we have put together the full chain, we can deliver, and we are already in planning and building mode. We are always open to talk to also new offerings and see where we can even more optimize our full H2 systems.
Okay, very good, thank you. Dr. Daniel Opoko, you have already some examples for the Brennergy Park who settled there. What are the plans for the future? Please, 1 minute.
Okay, yeah, I'll speed up. Most projects in the ramp-up phase are still confidential, so I can roughly outline what they concern. Basically, green hydrogen electrolyzer, hydrogen-powered public transportation providers, basically, and then also a little bit related to that is solar fuels producers. That's another really significant settlement coming up. And there are manufacturers of safety solutions. It concerns controlling hydrogen during the fueling process. So within Brennergy Park Jülich, there is quite a range of settlements in the ramp-up stage. Already mentioned was the Helmholtz cluster for sustainable and infrastructure-compatible hydrogen economy, HCH2, and not repeating what previous speakers already mentioned, I would like to highlight two aspects of the settlement. Basically, that there will be a hydrogen innovation center, and that there will be also a demonstration region established concerning hydrogen pilot projects. So, in summary, you have 3 stages: the inventing stage, the implementation stage, and Brennergy Park Jülich offers the capacity for scaling.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Opoko. Carsten Krause, in 1 minute, what are the big advantages of the regions? What are the lighthouse projects here? You have the final word to do some advertisement for us here.
Okay, yes, thanks. Yes, looking back in the last 8 years, I can say, yes, it was a right decision to go to this place. On one hand, we have this good connections, a great connection even for us in terms of hydrogen to Brussels and to Paris, to go back to Paris to our factory. And from here, we can start to go for Central Europe in terms of sales and business development. And on the other hand, so this is a good base. But on the other hand, also in this region, we have a high potential. We have industrial companies like glass, steel, manufacturers, refineries. So these are potential clients for green hydrogen. And on the other hand, we have in this region this special fact that we have a good base for PV and wind. So we have a good potential for green energy to bring it into green hydrogen for decentral, like 10, 20, 50, 100 megawatt production on one hand. And on the other hand, we have a perfect position in terms of the grid, of the European pipeline grid. So we have a connection coming from the north, from the north, from northern Germany or from northern Europe. And from here also we have the backbone going to the Netherlands. So we have a connection. So in the end, we will have the pipeline connection to Europe, to Rotterdam or to Netherlands or to Groningen. So to get the green hydrogen from Netherlands and from northern Germany, and to bring also all the green hydrogen we can produce here. And we have the customer already in this region. So it's from my side, we will have, I see a lot of upcoming projects, especially in this green hydrogen production.
Thank you, Carsten. I would say that was a perfect summary. What kind of potential do we have here in the Rhenish region? Thank you for listening. Thank you for attending. I hope you enjoyed our discussion and got insights on the big potential that we have here in the region. If you're interested to come to the Rhenish region, to the Rhineland, please come and visit us. You have the opportunity to do so in the inbound delegation trip offered by GTAI next year. With that, Mike to Jürgen Pfeiffer to Berlin, and thank you very much.
Back in Berlin, and thank you very much, Thomas. That was really great, having seen all those impressive projects and future plans that you have in the Iranian region. Before we move on, let me remind you everything you want to know about our speakers today. You will find online. www.GTAI Live is the proper domain for your demands. And don't forget, as Thomas already mentioned, to register for the upcoming Inbound Investors Tour. The folks from GTAI are planning, but only if you get in touch with them and tell them what you are really wanting to see. So let's finalize this Investors Tour. As we just chatted in between, Pierre-Etienne, the first question goes out to you because you are even closer from your Paris headquarters to the region than to the eastern parts of Germany. Where do you see the major advantages of the more Central European eastern regions confronted with the heart of Europe in the western parts of the former Europe?
To be very honest, many eyes are turned on Rhineland, because this is where everything happens. This is the largest hydrogen producer, I think, in Europe, maybe neck to neck with Rotterdam. So this is the one where they have also a lot of wealth. So they are capable to shift that from grey to green. Just a question of finding the right regulatory plus subsidy or support mechanism. They are also developing a lot of pipe repurposing with Netherlands. So they are the core of the European strategy, success or not. So I think and I'm coming from a company that has a lot of assets there because Air Liquide is well versed there, but I think Linde as well and many other players. So they have everything to succeed, but they need to push the industry to shift from grey to green, because if they don't, nothing happens. So we are very excited to see what's going to happen. We are ready to, of course, look at it. On the mobility side, the steel making, the chemicals, the refineries, everything is there. So I think they have everything in their hands.
Timo Bollerhey in Hamburg, do you disagree or do you fully agree with what Pierre-Etienne said? I'm assuming it's probably you fully agree.
100% correct. Obviously, Rhineland, they're very well positioned also with their vicinity towards, the potential import hubs like Rotterdam, like Antwerp. So the River Rhine connection is, I think, a very good position that region is in, also with a strong offtake that is there with, the big players, Covestro, the steel industry, they're all concentrated in the Rhine area. And I think, yes, I couldn't agree more.
So you have a complete 100% fulfillment of the criteria, which calls market access. I think in that respect, Ralf Barke, when you look at the industry part, you have the Rotterdam hydrogen hub nearby, you have Duisburg, you have BASF, for example, in Leverkusen. There are many takers from hydrogen. So that means it's the business that starts probably there in the heart of the industry along the Rhine.
Yes, that's also our impression and our information that we get from the market in the last year. And we conclude all this information and together with all the other TSOs, the transmission system operators for the gas grid, and we create a clear outlook for the hydrogen grid for the 2030 year. And we could summarize that we will have more than 6,000 kilometer pure hydrogen pipeline, especially in the industry area. The most of them will be repurposed. That means will be very efficient way. But I think we are very well prepared for the future and for the demand that we need, that we see in the market.
Do you hope, by the way, it's a little bit out of topic, but nevertheless it's related. Do you hope that it will be possible to use that famous pipeline which doesn't work at the moment and its sister too, to really
heavy geopolitics.
Exactly, yeah, it's out of topic. I said it's the white elephant that we have around here in the room somewhere. But what is your impression? Is it possible to?
It's quite from the real material. Of course, it's perfect to use this. From the political side and from the political side, it will be not so easy. We could not foresee what will be the task for this special pipe in the future. But of course, is there no real task for natural gas, then we could very good use this also for the hydrogen.
And I'm very amazed that nobody was doing the color question and discussing very much between pink and green and gray and white and black and whatever kind of origins hydrogen has now at the moment.
In Germany, they don't like very much any other color than green, to be honest. Huh? I don't know.
Yeah. That's a political background probably too. We prefer to talk about at the moment clean. This exactly. Is what links us to France,
yes.
where we define hydrogen at the moment more than clean hydrogen due to the origin. Franzlina, we've seen a lot of international links already existing in the region. Is that one of the regional assets too, in your experience?
Perhaps, yes. I mean, there's a very strong supply chain industry already in the Rhine region. They have attracted foreign investments. Asahi Kasei was mentioned as a Japanese leader in electrolysis technology. And there's a strong R&D base. A lot of my colleagues at the National Organization of Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Technologies have either studied in Aachen or done their research in Jülich. So that comes with a history of being in that sector. All three regions have shown us what they have, and each have their specific pros. I think the eastern regions are not to underestimate because they have gone through transitions in the past, so they are familiar with adapting to.
Ask Angela Merkel, whoever underestimated somebody coming from Eastern Germany has already lost. So besides that historic proof, I think that is one of the big chances that Eastern Germany is having in the upcoming 10 years of building up the infrastructure, right?
And I'd add one comment to the green and blue discussion. So I think, yes, we don't have all these options on the table, but from the outside perspective, that makes your investment case much safer because we don't have this debate. We want green.
That's a very valid point. That's true.
You
just need the customer to accept to pay the price for it. But
okay, that's a good question. Werner Diewald, when you compare, and this is kind of smooth moving into our final conclusion round before we wrap it up for today. When you look at those two eastern regions and the Rhine region, when you look at the national development and the national hydrogen strategy, what would be your? We said in the first round, push your politician. Your politician is sitting next to you a few hundred meters away in the Chancellery. How do you push your politician there?
I think pushing is perhaps not the right word, but of course we give a lot
Slowly developing, you mean?
Yeah, we give a lot of proposals, and we give, of course, our informations and knowledge, and I think that is very important to have a cooperation discussion with the government. It's very complicated. This transition, what we see now is, I think, the complicated thing what we have done in the past of industrialization or the industrialization era. And so I think it's important that we share our knowledge with the politicals, with the ministries. Without, it's not possible for them to make the right decisions. Without the experience from the industry, if it's infrastructure or the refineries or ammonia production or steel manufacturers, what should they decide? It's not really changing a little bit something. It's a revolution. What we see in the next 7 years, it must be a revolution. If we not make a revolution, and I know this wording is not very welcome by some people, but it's a revolution, and we must be honest. And if we're not open for that, we will not win this challenge. And I think then it's not interesting if the Eastern, the Middle German or the Western German region is the best region or preferred region, then we are out of the race. Then Chinese make it. And we are in the end buying hydrogen and the technologies from the Chinese or from the Australians. And I think that is very more important, that's more important to make now the right decisions. I like it that there is a challenge. I think that is very, very good information. Challenge means there is a market, or some people hope that there is a market. And you ask the Rhine region, yeah, there could be very interesting for hydrogen, for the hydrogen industry, if the politicals open the possibility. If there's not the possibility to use or to move the gas infrastructure to the green hydrogen infrastructure or to blend hydrogen in the gas pipelines, then the industry must go in the area where the wind is blowing, because the energy doesn't arrive in Rhine. It's not only possible to do it over ships. So I think that is, and I think we have to explain it to the politicals. It's not really it's advice too, but I think it's really very important to cooperate and to speak open together and discuss together the next challenge in the next 7 years.
Last famous words, not of a man, but of a participant of this panel. Looking at what you have seen today as a German example of different potentials, is there any chance that Germany and the regions could fail in being successfully building up a hydrogen industry?
I think you need to. I think you should. Maybe Germany should learn from the success and failures or troubles from the Energiewende. Because I think the hydrogen story is having a little bit the same potential on risks. There is a huge ambition that Germany has fostered over the last 10-15 years on hydrogen, but it needs to go with realism in terms of cost and scale. Because if you don't, then you move into the risk that you have now with the Energiewende, that you have a lot of renewable, but it's still very expensive, and so the energy price is increasing significantly. So the topic is really there. It's to make sure that the scale is there immediately with, I would say, good competitive pricing and infrastructure. That should be the major motto for moving forward, I think.
Okay. That wraps it up for today, ladies and gentlemen. This was the first edition of the Hydrogen Investors Tour from Berlin, Germany, and thanks to all our friends in the three coal regions around here. The time has been passing super quickly, I think. Thanks to all of you out there in those former coal regions. A great big thank you for the ideas, for the views, for the experiences, and everything from the projects you've been sharing with us today here, and also from our Berlin panel. A great big thanks, of course, to all of our viewers, to all of you out there around the globe. Thanks for giving us the chance to be in your offices and homes and make us part, at least for some hours, make us part of your life. And we do appreciate your interest very much and hope you will be benefiting from one or the other tip or one of the other hydrogen project that you have seen in Germany's coal region. Finally, I'd like to thank to everybody from the team from GTAI, all of the crew members and technical staff working so hard behind the scenes over the last 6 months in preparing this event. Without your dedication, without your professionalism, and without your flexibility, that all wouldn't have been possible. So on behalf of GTAI and the complete team, thanks for having us. Stay safe and sound. See you all sometime soon, and bye-bye from Berlin, Germany for now. Thank you very much.